Well, I am back once again. I hope everything's working correctly because, well, frankly, I didn't really have time to do any sort of Asian tech support. You see, I would usually have Asian tech support with me, but, well, this time around, one of our fellow entertainers in the fandom, many of you may know, of course, Mr. Barrister, he seemed to have had a little bit of a technical difficulty with his stream as well. I promise it was not by my doing. I had absolutely nothing to do with it. I plead the fifth, and in Canada, the fifth would be like, 8 3/4 because conversion. But anyhow, I have nothing absolutely to do with it, and in fact I have dispatched only the finest in Asian tech support to Mr. Barrister's estate so that he may have his streaming hopefully sometime soon, because well, I do enjoy his streaming quite a bit, and it is also quality entertainment as well. But enough with the Asian tech support so far. Everything here seems to be running just fine, as far as I can tell at least. So, we'll just have to continue the show as best as we can, and although I may not be a very well-refined and tenured man of the law, upholding the standards of the state and, of course, of Constitution and all that sort of legal speak, I am just a drunken old dragon. So I hope you're able to accommodate me and will compromise for my lack of actual educated entertainment. That is a good way to start off the stream, I think. Well, I did want to also point out that before the camera turned on, I saw a couple of comments. I couldn't help but see a couple of comments denoting, or rather connoting, some rather unpleasant things. Let's try to keep those kind of things away from this particular show. We are here to all have a good time. We are here to leave our worries and our troubles at the doorstep of the YouTubes and whatnot. And, we are here to just simply enjoy a lovely Saturday evening or Sunday morning or midnight, wherever it is where you are. So Vadius the Dragon says, we can hear you. Bungie Skunk says, congrats Moth for GOH and FE next year. That is right. We happen to have GOH is for next year, which are Catmonk, Shiro, Moth Monarch, and Don't Hug Cacti for Vernal Equinox. I was going to get to that, but since Bungie Skunk had already brought it up, I don't know if Moth Monarch is actually here. I did not see her in the chat. She's probably flying around somewhere in the chat. She's just like, yeah, woo, 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 yes, look at me, I am a moth, I flutter, yes, I fly, I smack my face into bright shiny things. But, as always, this is the Grumpystream, and I am your humble host, Tien Long. Of course, as always, I am also grumpy. I don't know why. I guess I was just made that way, but I am your host, Tien Long, nonetheless, and, well, you are watching me on this lovely Saturday evening with some actual lovely weather outside, and, I'm not enjoying it because I hate the weather, I hate outside, I hate the sun, I hate brightness, I hate happiness, and all that sort of stuff. So don't ask me to do any of that or indulge you in it. I'll leave that sort of thing to, again, Mr. Barrister, or perhaps even my fellow colleague and streamer, Uncle Kage, of course. Well, both of them had also already done a sort of outside patio or port stream, so to say, and they were able to show you the great outdoors and all the greenery and the leaves and the birds and all the flying bugs and all the flying cats and all the flying dogs and everything that flies. And I shall have none of it. I like staying in my basement because that's what I am. I am a basement dweller. Yes, that kind of basement dweller. You can go and make your jokes now, but I like my basement because that's where my cellar is. I don't have to walk as far. Speaking of cellars and, things that you would put in cellars, many of you may have seen that, there is a particular theme to today's stream. And, this is something that I had learned recently, which I was very much in shock of when I first learned of it, but, it just did not strike me as something that would be possible. After all, I would not put 2 and 2 together and make sake with 2 and 2, but apparently the Canadians had found some way to make sake. Can you believe it? All the way halfway across the world, the origins of sake, all the way to, the land of maple trees and hockey sticks and hockey games and curling and people saying sorry to each other incessantly. They have found a way to make sake, and I haven't tried it before. Of course, I wanted to have the opportunity to share it with my audience, so I do want to thank all of you for being here, so you can witness my demise as I drink Canadian sake, which, well, if I want to make a preliminary assumption about it, it probably tastes like forgiveness, and that is not something that sits well with me, especially in my liver, because my liver does not forgive me. So. Well, I should show you the Canadian sake. Of course, being Canadian, it has to have the appearance of a Canadian. So, as you can see, the Canadian sake is dressed in its finest Canadian finery. Its hat was backwards, but it is addressed as a Canadian because it is a Canadian sake, and it must, well, as the kids say, it must represent, yo. So, this is the Canadian sake, of course, and it's all like, hey, look at me, buddy, I got plaid head and I got my lumberjack shirt on and my Tim Hortons, but, well, I don't quite have a Tim Hortons cup for it to, sit in, but, well, we can imagine there's a Tim Hortons cup in its tiny hands and whatnot. But, well, let me just show you the Canadian sake. This is the dressed Canadian, and, well, I don't want to, undress a Canadian because, there's children watching. There are some minors in this chat. I shall not undress a Canadian while there are minors. So instead, I shall leave that Canadian here, and I shall have its less dressed brother to present. This is the Canadian sake that I have mentioned. It is actually rather nicely packaged. I shall show the camera, show to the camera, there we are. This is the Izumi sake, Namacho sake. This is, as you can see by the label over here, this is local sake, proudly Canadian. And of course it has to have the maple leaf and not another kind of leaf that Canadians are talking about all the time. But this is a Canadian sake that is brewed actually not too far from where I live. It is brewed in the city of Toronto. Well, as you can see, it is, again, very nicely presented and packaged. It is all like, ooh, yes, look at me, I am sake, and I am also Canadian, eh? And, well, it seems to say all the right things. So let us do this the right way. We shall do a full 9-point inspection of this sake. So, well, it passed sort of the first two tests, which are, it actually comes in a nice glass bottle. It doesn't come in like, a maple syrup bucket that's collecting sap from maple trees. Well, it also has sort of the presentation of, well, the traditional kanji, of course, Izumi, and it actually describes, this is the symbol for north. Actually, for those of you that do not know your kanji, this here is the symbol of north, going upwards, yes. So, of course, we are in Canada, which means that we are of the north. This is Izumi of the north. And I don't know what kind of sake it is, because Namacho is not one that I am quite familiar with. That might be something that is like a Canadian thing. Maybe that's their way of saying they're sorry. So, looking at the bottle, it says that it is Ontario Spring Water Sake Company. Wait, what? Wait. Wait. Ontario Spring Water Sake Company. Ontario Spring Water... Wait, you're telling me that this is made with, like, spring water and it comes from, like, a water factory where they distill water and, like, make water bottles, and now suddenly I feel like I have been duped out of the $15 that my human pet paid for this thing. All right, well, that goes point number 3 of 9 that has not passed. Let's see how strong it is. Let us see the alcohol percentage. It is 15.5%, which is, well, it's suitable for a sake. So I guess that it would be a pass in terms of that point. It is a standard sort of bottle, I guess. There's nothing really too interesting to note about it. Let's see what this sake describes itself as. Now, before I go into how it describes itself, we all know from either watching myself or watching Uncle Kage that all tasting notes and all descriptions of any sort of alcoholic beverage are complete, utter garbage. Of course, they have, it tastes, overtones of pear, a large body of, peaches and apples and all these delicious sounding things. And then, you drink it and it's just like, I don't hear that, I don't taste anything. I just taste alcohol, and I am okay with this. So as we all know, this is sort of just the marketing portion of it. But let us see how the Canadian sake describes itself. Okay, this premium sake is made from pure Ontario spring water specifically selected for its similarity to the famous Fushimi water of Japan's sake district in Kyoto. 100% handmade using classical Japanese techniques reserved only for the finest sakes. So apparently they are saying that there is spring water somewhere in Ontario that has a distant relative halfway across the world that is apparently able to at least mimic the traditional sake waters that used to brew only the finest sakes. In other terms, they said that they found a rusty tap somewhere that had not been cleaned for many millennia and turned it on, and it produced this water that had an alcoholic taste, and they say, well, we can fool the Canadians with this. Let's call it sake. All right, let's continue. While most commercial sake is pasteurized both post-pressing and post-bottling, Namacho is pasteurized only after bottling, allowing it to attain its superior flavor through storage at an ambient temperature. Enjoy it chilled with most meat and fish dishes, or heated. We are not going to read that part. This is very much a sake that, well, it is in Canada, so therefore I would assume that it is best enjoyed chilled. And none of this talk about meat and fish in my... Do you know what fish do in water? I am not going to think about it, but none of this talk about putting it with things, because the only thing that sake should go with is sake, or a cup. Not a Tim Hortons cup, because those things, you don't know what's been in them. But I shall put this sake very, very soon into my lovely glass over here. Of course, for those of you that have seen before, this is my Tien Long glass. I don't know if you're able to see, but it has, again, the custom etching of my likeness into the glass, which was very, very well done. And I would like to, again, thank whoever had done that for me at MFF last year. But I guess we shall move on to the final tasting points, or rather the scoring points for this Canadian sake. And, well, I've got my puke bucket somewhere here. I'm hoping I don't have to use it, but I'm a little apprehensive. I'll tell you right now. Just the thought of it. Can you imagine just Canadian sake? Just think about that entire process, a lumberjack going into the woods and, taking the bucket that they use to farm this sap for maple syrup, except it's not sap, it's like rice from the trees, and they go to like the rusty old tap that's connected to the spring water, and they turn on the tap and they put it in the bottle and they put it together and they shake it up. They shake it up, and as they're shaking it, they apologize many, many times to it. They're saying, "Oh yes, I'm sorry I am shaking you. Yes, I am sorry I am making you into an alcoholic beverage." And then, they take it out and then they like sniff it and take a good whiff of it, and then they're like, "Oh yes, this is sake now. We shall now put this on the shelf so that, all these non-Asians shall be fooled and, drink it and give us lots of money for it." Perhaps I'm being too much of a cynic. Perhaps we should actually try it. I think that's a good idea, especially because I've been doing too much talking and not enough putting things in my mouth. So, in that case, I shall take my bottle, I shall take the glass, whatever that may be. There we are. And let us see the color now. This is another point which I shall be assessing of this sake, which is the color of the sake as I pour it. Now, again, for those of you that know, sake, when it is clear, almost like water, that means it is rather young, it is rather finely distilled, it has very little residue from all of the proteins and all of the dirt and all of whatever else they may have gotten rid of when they were milling the rice grain down. But if it's starting to turn yellow, well, in that case it might not be as enjoyable as it should. So let us see what this sake looks like. So here we are. I am pouring it at the camera. There we are. So far, it's not got a bad palate. It's just a tinge yellow, but this tinge of yellow is specifically a sake sort of tinge. It is not as yellow as I am, but as you can see, in comparison to myself, this is rather good. This is let me take an hour. We are doing a proper sake assessment here. We are reviewing this for the National Sake Advisory Board of Longs. Yes, we are. But yes, it has a very nice color to it. It's not bad, actually. This is quite nice. I shall hold it up to the light and say, yes, look at this. Very, very musty, almost saturated aroma of pears and honeydew and well, you see, this is how we create the tasting notes. Whenever you hear these tasting notes, it's some guy that's in a bar down in some basement that's just sniffing at it, and he's going along, what can I use from my dictionary of, sake lingo and alcoholic tasting notes today? They probably have like a little jar where they pick out a random slip of paper and they say, okay, I shall use honeydew for all of my tasting notes today. So perhaps they have durian, but I have yet to see that on any sort of sake, or any alcohol in general, thank goodness. Well, it doesn't smell too bad. It does not smell like a rusty tap, or it doesn't smell like maple syrup, actually. Must, deep breath, deep breath. What, one more, once more. It's got a little hint of maple syrup, so we'll say that this has a faint, almost sultry scent of maple syrup to it. And of course, because it is Canadian, who's surprised? Well, we've gone through the sort of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess we've gone through 7 of like the 9 points so far, of the 9-point check for if sake is good or not. Now, number 8 would be the taste. And many of you may be thinking, oh, well, shouldn't number 9 be the taste? Well, no, number 9, actually, as you see, is not the taste, because number 9 is whether or not I throw it up or not. So we shall have number 9 be the final test, which is whether my liver will agree with it. Because again, my liver does not apologize, and this will apologize quite a bit. So we'll see how that goes. So we shall now attempt to drink the Canadian sake. And again, for those of you that are of age, wherever you are, and are joining in my evening hobby, I salute you and thank you once again for being here with me. Cheers, my friends. Kanpai. Well, we are in Canada, and this is a Canadian sake, so in that case I shall say, I'm sorry, buddy. Now, we are on a show here that sort of took me by surprise, to be honest. Move that pink straw out of the way. Well, it's got very, very enthusiastic, almost hyperventilating washes of pears, and perhaps a little bit of old copper wire as well. It's definitely got a body of sawdust mixed with old gym sock. But most definitely it has a very, very strong, almost lustful aftertone of apologies and Canadian kindness in it. I would say I would drink this on a night where a hockey game is going down and you're sorry. Well, especially if the home team is losing, and then, you have to apologize to the fan on the home team, and he apologizes to you because his home team's bad and you apologize to him and whatnot. Well, I haven't started feeling my liver going all wild yet because, there's a Canadian invasion happening. It seems to be settling rather well, actually. Well, I guess that in this case I shall have to say that it is not bad. Definitely not something that I have experienced, nor something that I would say I am looking forward to experiencing, but it is not bad whatsoever. For a Canadian sake, it is indeed very, very sorry. So you see, it's like, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm all Canadian and all that. I'm sorry. Now, thinking about it in hindsight, I probably should have gotten my human pet to get googly eyes and put googly eyes, and he could be like googly 1, googly 2, and he could be like googly Canuck. Yes, he could be the googly Canuck. You know, he works for googly. So, leave him over there. He can be a Canuck over there. But yes, this is the Canadian sake that I am tasting for the very first time, and well, I don't think that I should be really too offended by it, but at the same time, it's just a principle of, well, you know, if you're Canadian sake trying to pass yourself off as, yes, we are, you know, like, yes, we are premium sake, we are based off the traditions rooted in sake production and brewing and all that, well, perhaps they should leave out the apologetic part of it, because I have a feeling that as soon as I have a few glasses of this, I will probably be apologizing to everyone on the stream. So before I do get into that, I'll just have one general apology to everyone. I'm sorry. There you are. That's my Canadian obligation for the day. For those of you that don't know, that's actually a thing. If you want to immigrate to this country, you have to, you know, read up on your Canadian, and then you have to study for an entrance exam, as all people do when they immigrate to Canada. And one of the actual answers for one of the actual questions rather for the test is, how many times must you apologize per month? Yes, I'm not joking. This is something that you will find on the entrance exam to Canada. You must know how many times that you must apologize per month. I'm not telling you the answers. You can't pay me enough to. Now, moving right along. Well, that's basically the gimmick I have for this stream, is I have had Canadian sake. Yay! Tien Long has drank Canadian sake. It is good. Well, it is passable, I shall say. It is passable. It is going to make me rather apologetic, and, well, I'm quite disappointed, actually, that there was not enough maple syrup in it. So, now I shall see what the chat has to say. My audience has been watching me ramble and ramble for... Good God, have I been doing this for 22 minutes already? Have I been talking about sake for 22 minutes already? It feels like it's only been 5. I don't know why you're all still here watching me talk about this Canadian sake as if it's something that is of myth or of legend, when in reality I just had my human go to the nearest supermarket and get it for $15. Yes, that is how cheap I am. I don't care what anyone thinks about Celestials. We are very, very frugal creatures, because that is inherited behavior by all Asians of all generations. Anyhow, what is the chat saying, I wonder? Ardia Karufis says, if you move to Canada, you'll be sorry. Yes, Ardia Karufis, that is correct. That is also one of the answers that you will have to know when you are taking the entrance exam, is when you are in Canada, what must you be? And it's sort of like a catch-22, because you're wondering, oh, if I say that I'm Canadian, does that mean I'm explicitly sorry? But if I say I'm only sorry, does that mean I'm Canadian? If I'm like only Canadian, does that mean I only play hockey? Or if I play hockey, you know, what about curling? It's sort of like a very, very sort of morally challenging question, because it challenges your allegiance and sort of how far you're willing to go to be Canadian, indeed. I myself, I sort of, when I took the entrance exam from the heavenly residence up above to down here in Canada, because the real estate was cheaper, I had put myself that, well, when I am in Canada, I shall be grumpy. Because I could not be untrue to my characteristics, and somehow that actually flew. Like, flew as in, got by with them. Perhaps me threatening to, you know, destroy their entire existences did help, but we won't talk about that. What else are people saying? Uncle Kage says, now I'm stuck with this tie cue. I'm sorry, buddy. I was just here drinking my Canadian sake and watching the hockey game, and you know, we had a glass of poutine earlier, and now, you know, everyone's apologizing, I'm sorry. What else is happening over here? Sun Wong Fox says, how sorry are you, Dragon? Well, I have a feeling, Sun Wong, that if I drink enough of this, I will be sorry. That's as far as I know so far. This is a brand new experience for me. I am trying this Canadian sake for the first time, and we'll see how far it gets. And let's see what else is happening right now. Arabian Darkstone says, Tien, Moth was asking if you had something to show off. Well, I'm not sure if I had something to show off, but I have something to gloat about, perhaps. Well, at this past vernal equinox, which happened just one weekend ago, I shall say, and by the way, if you have not been to vernal equinox before, highly, highly recommended. Many people many people travel to the convention, and I can guarantee that they will all tell you they had a wonderful time. But at vernal equinox, there had been a charity show that my human pet had set up for Uncle Kage and myself. And well, a few months before the convention, the Moth had contacted me saying, oh yes, look at me, I am Moth Monarch, yes, and I am ready to do some shenanigans. Let us say we pull a prank on Uncle Kage, and I was all like, oh yes, I love pranking Uncle Kage, yes, will it involve stealing his wine? And she said, oh no, that's not a prank, that's like a death wish. And I said, yeah, kind of, but I do so anyway. Nothing, I don't do that at all. But she had said, well, why not we give him another piece of art that he would adore? And, well, that piece of art would have been based off of something that he and I have been doing recently, which are these bogus tasting notes. For those of you that may have been watching Uncle Kage's wine stream, which happens on a monthly basis, such as mine, he happens to do the same thing that I just did with the sake in terms of tasting notes, and we give these bogus tasting notes and, look all professional and look all proper and say, yes, 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 yes. And, well, we happened to discover back, I believe, in January it was. We did the New Year stream. Yes, the New Year stream. Actually, it was before the New Year's stream. We did it back in August of last year. Yes, August it was of last year. We had found the tasting note generator online, which he and I just fell absolutely in love with. And, well, we essentially had run that joke for quite a long course, so much that Moth Monarch decided to doodle it out in one of the wine stream art drawings that she was doing, and Uncle Kage saw it the next day and said, yes, this is my favorite doodle ever. I absolutely love this. And Moth Monarch says, well, I already have 2 of my drawings above his wine rack. He has a rack. How cute. But above his wine rack, why not say we add a 3rd that would be appropriate? And, well, I said to her, yes, well, that would be very, very nice. Yes, let us do that. Unbeknownst behind my back, concurrently, she had been talking with that said wine thief, and also plotting to get me something as well. And I was completely unawares of what was going on, but, well, he said it first, and I agree with his sentiment. She was playing a double agent. She was making fools out of the both of us. And I am so very sorry, it's not the sake, I promise, but I am so very sorry to say I had received an absolutely lovely gift from Moth Monarch. Some of you may have seen it already, but I wanted to share it in person. She had gotten me this lovely custom-framed drawing of, well, myself. I look much younger in that photo than I do now, don't I? Look at this. See, look at this photo, now back at me. Now back at this photo, now back at me. Now look at this photo, and admire it because it is me. And it does also resemble my personality, because insolent youngsters do need some dye. So Moth Monarch presented this to me at the charity show at Vernal Equinox, and again Uncle Kage also was involved, conspiring and plotting and being all sinister about, we get to surprise this noodle dragon. And, well, it worked. So thank you, both of you. I do appreciate it. Now, with that being said, there are others out there that have also provided me with some gift art as well, and I do want to take the time to also, well, at least give acknowledgement to all of you out there. There's been many people that have drawn me over the years, and believe me when I say I have kept each and every one of those drawings close. So that one I wanted to highlight in particular because those two conspired together, and they were like, "Wow, we're going to make Tien all like, all like whiny and whimpery with this," and they were somewhat successful. But no one shall see that. But everyone that does honor a celestial in their artistic talents holds a special place in my soul, whatever part of my soul still remains. So thank you, everyone, and again, thank you very much to both Moth Monarch and Uncle Kage. You make a dragon all weepy, especially when he's being sorry. But again, I do appreciate every single piece of tribute that is given my way, and especially, well, I don't know what I do to deserve it. I am just an old drunk that sits in front of a camera, goes to conventions, and gives bollocks tasting notes about things that I find on the grocery store shelf. And, well, speaking of wine thieves and all that, well, Uncle Kage had actually, he had done something that I had not really expected, which was he entrusted me with some of his wine this past vernal equinox. You see, he was traveling rather light when he came to this convention, and as such he could not really take anything back home with him, but he forgot that Canadians are all nice and all, and they all know that he likes wine, so he did receive quite a few bottles as gifts, and well, the thing is, he could not take them back, but who did he know up north that would be going to his next convention, Motor City FurCon, and he could entrust with the wine. So don't worry, Uncle Kage, I still have your wine. I have not drank it. I would never do anything sinister with your wine whatsoever. I have it safely here with me. All the kids are taking screenshots now. No screenshots, no recording this, none of that whatsoever. Anyhow, yes, vernal equinox. So speaking of vernal equinox and all that, and he saw that, don't you dare touch blue Tumacat. Well, I thought that was the purple Tumacat, but I guess, all the colors look the same, and all the sake is making me all sorry and whatnot. It's not actually making me sorry, not quite yet. Oh, and my big brother is here as well. Hello, big brother. It is good to see you as always. I thought you had a hangover. I was going to tell the audience that my big brother had a hangover, therefore he would be here late. But I see he has recovered from the hangover with some good, old-fashioned Singaporean kopi. So in Singapore, they call their coffee kopi because, that's what Singapore does. It's Singlish lah. But anyhow, vernal equinox, as I had already brought it up, I was there this past weekend. I did not make too many appearances, mainly on Saturday, simply because, well, I saw that the influx of youngsters meant that us oldsters would have a little more difficult time trying to tolerate them, or even wrangle them in some cases, so I decided I would let the youngsters have their fun. But on Saturday I was out and about. I hope that I ran into you or at least saw you once or twice, and if I did see you, then I hoped that I was not too inebriated at the time. I don't quite remember. But at the same time, Uncle Kage and I and Moth Monarch, we all did the charity show, and we tried to raise as much money as we can for the doggos and the catos and the moo-moo cows and the piggies and all those cute animals at the, what was it called again? The Happily Ever After, Happily Ever After Farm Sanctuary. Yes, that is the name. It is quite a long one, or HEAFS for short. But vernal equinox was a rather good convention, and, well, you shall expect the Celestial Dragon to be there next year. And in terms of conventions, my next convention is not too far away. For those of you that will be going to Motor City FurCon in 2 weeks' time, I shall be there. I do make my rounds frequently to Motor City, and I do not miss a party, especially when it is involving free booze, particularly the booze that I like. So I shall be at Motor City FurCon. I hope to see you all there. What else? else have I got to talk about? Well, in terms of the weather and how things are now shaping up to be more like spring versus the bitter winter cold that I've had here, well, I decided that I might as well close my freezer door and enjoy some sunlight every once in a while. Clearly, I'm not doing that now, and clearly neither are you, because you're here watching me. So thank you for making sure that my grumbly powers of controlling the weather and making things warmer and brighter for you are well met. Perhaps I'll just have to keep it cold and my freezer door open the entire time, eh? Oh, did I just say eh? I blame the Canadian sake. Yes, this stuff over here. I blame this stuff over here. It is slowly turning me into a Canadian, and suddenly, I'll just be magically wearing a plaid shirt and a flap cap and holding a hockey stick and all that, eh? Sorry. Darn it! I cannot escape it. I shall just have to bear with it as best as I can, and continue on with the show, as they say. Well, in terms of continuing on with the show, I should have myself another bit of Canadian as well. I'm sorry, buddy. And now the thing is, that was the second sip that I had had of the sake. The good thing about all sake, and, well, most alcohols in general, is that after a couple of sips, when your palate is acclimating to the particular flavors that are being presented, you don't really taste it anymore, or rather, you get used to it. You acclimate and you adapt to the Canadianness that is overloading your senses, that is working its way into your very pores, that is streaming through the veins of your entire frame and, slowly turning you into a lumberjack, If I finish that bottle, I have an assumption, or rather I have probably a premonition that I will be like, this big hulking lumberjack. I'll be like, yes, look at me. Yes, look at me. I am big Tien Long. Yes, I am big, scary Tien Long, and I am a lumberjack, and I am okay. Perhaps that should not happen. I don't think anyone would want to see me as a lumberjack. Dragons are already big enough. We don't need to be wielding axes to take down trees. We just kick them over because we can. I am a lumberjack, and I am okay. I sit all night and something. I sleep all night and I work all day. Yes, that's it. I'll probably pick those lyrics up the more I have this Canadian sake. But we shall see how the evening goes. Let us see what else the audience is saying as well. Bruzo Dragonia says, I can imagine if he tries the Australian sake. Well, if I tried the Australian sake, guess what, Bruzo? I'll be the same. You know why? Because the Australian sake, I know for a fact, will try to kill you, and it will be using the dye in order to kill you. And I happen to be a master of the dye. I happen to have dye already as part of my very existence. So it can try to give me the dye all at once, but as a purveyor of dye, I shall just take that dye, and I will administer that dye over to someone that needs that dye. You see how that drawing over there that Moth Monarch drew was very fitting, because Moth Monarch told me, well, when I was drawing it, I didn't know what I would put for Tien's quote. And she doesn't really have that accent, but I can't speak like a moth. But she was saying, oh, I did not know what I would put for Tien's quote. What does Tien say often? And apparently Uncle Kage had written back, well, Tien likes talking about insolent youngsters, and he likes talking about dye. So those two things go hand in hand together. And, well, as you saw, insolent youngsters need some dye. Perhaps I should carry a stock of Australian sake, and, whenever an insolent youngster comes up to me and wants to be all fanboyish, fangirling-ish over Celestial Dragon, I could just hand them a bottle of Australian sake and say, here, drink up. But I would not actually do that. Yes, disclaimer that Tien Long will not actually give dye to the youngsters, but I will try to, rest assured. What else are people saying right now? And Tien Long, my big brother, says, inspired by Canadian sake. I don't know if my big brother joined in time to actually see the whole 9-point inspection of the Canadian sake bottle and, talking about its presentation and the kanji and, the interpretation of the description that it provides about being only made from the purest of Ontario spring water that is somehow imported from Japan. Well, I don't know. Again, after a couple of sips, perhaps all of that will just wash away and be replaced by an endless stream of apologies. And Uncle Kage says, moths are flighty. Well, of course they are. After all, they go flap, 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 and they go flap, 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 and then they flap very high, and then you see that light bulb that's above my head. That's going to go psst, and you're going to see a moth go like, hug the light. The light is warm. The light is friendly. Ah, yes, I must hug the light. I think one of my favorite doodles so far, actually, on the topic of moth, is, well, something that I am very, very fortunate to not have needed to experience at Vernal Equinox, which was anyone needing soap. Vernal Equinox not only is a convention of quite great quality, I would say, but all the attendees seem to respect not only the venues, but the fellow attendees. And by that, I do not actually detect anyone that was in need of the good word of the Lord and Savior soap. So I am very happy that Vernal Equinox and its attendees held themselves to that standard. I do like this above my head. You see this light bulb that's above my head. I did not notice it there before, but the camera is, at the moment, tilted or pointed quite conveniently above it. It's like I always have a bright idea. See, get it because it's bright and it's about... Bah, away with you! Ha! What else are all of these youngsters saying? Yes, and some people are saying spring water. Yes, quotation marks, spring water. Yes, you realize that when they're saying spring water, it's like I said earlier, they found a rusty tap that had, all the rust and all the buildup of, whatever it is, all the fun colors that should not be on a tap. And when they turned on that tap and they looked at it and they, some lumberjack took a swipe of it and licked it and said, this tastes like Japanese sake, they thought that would be a good idea. Come to think of it, maybe I shouldn't drink as much Canadian sake as I should. But I bought 2 bottles. That means that I would be out 1 bottle's worth of money if I didn't drink it. All right, I'll bear with it. If point number 9 does not pass later in the evening, which means that I throw it up, then we'll know that I've made a grave mistake, and I will be sorry. I'm sorry to you, buddies. That will be my official toast for this evening is, I'm sorry. What else are people saying over here? And Altoriu says, guess you can say Tien is now very enlightened. Bravo, Altoriu, bravo. Leave the dad jokes to the dad, will ya? Moving right along. Coyote Preds G says Spring Kaiju Rampage. Well, I don't know about Spring Kaiju Rampage, but I do know that the new movie Pacific Rim 2 has come out recently, and I have yet to be brought to the theater. Then again, most people don't bother inviting me to the theater because they know that I would pretty much step through the theater and ruin the movie. But then I would argue that I would be giving them the live-action version of Pacific Rim 2. After all, big hulking dragon going, boom, 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 and I go, yeah. I would have to charge them more than that. Perhaps they can pay off my sake tab next time. And Silver Gatamon says, I don't believe in soap, I believe in taking another drink. I like the way that you think, Silver Gatamon. Nevertheless, it is always good to know of the word of the good Lord and Savior soap. And that's the thing is that I seem to recall my human actually discussing this with the some of the hotel management. You see, I myself, I am not involved with the convention in any way whatsoever, but my human Ronnie, he happens to talk quite a bit with the hotel because, well, he actually happens to care about, improving hotel relations and making sure that, the hotel and the convention are working well together. And I remember that he came home one night and he had told me that he had a rather interesting conversation with the banquet manager and the person that's also in charge of the reservations. And that conversation went something like this. Excuse me, I couldn't help but, wonder if it's possible that you have an extra dedicated inventory of soap. And the event or the reservations person turns and says, well, I mean, we've got lots of soap. We always keep, a healthy supply of soap for our guests. Why? And Ronnie turns and says, well, you see, apparently not a lot of people know of the word of our good Lord and Savior soap, and we'd like to spread that word around as much as possible. And by that, we mean overflow their bathrooms with soap until they get the idea. And even if they do know of the good word, then let them know of it in all caps. So fill that darn bathroom with soap. That's perhaps why Fernald Quarks didn't really have too much of a smell problem, and I am very happy that it was such. Take notes, if you fellow convention organizers, if you run any conventions, particularly those that have conventions in Pittsburgh, although I really can't say that because he does a good convention. He does a good job of keeping his convention clean as well. But for anyone that is planning in the future to have any sort of event anywhere, it is a good idea to make sure that you've got your bases covered. And soap is one of the best ways to do that. Take my word for it. And Mio Venmi says you are not a kaiju, you look why better. I don't know if that's the why that is speaking inside you, Mio Vanmi. Perhaps you've been enjoying yourself a little much, although it is Saturday evening, so I can't really hold you at fault. Cheers to you. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, he says, I'm sorry, I'm very sorry. Yes, I must apologize for not being sorry. I'm sorry for not being sorry earlier. That was good stuff. You see, again, after the third or fourth sip, it starts to slowly turn into, this sort of general sake bliss. It sort of works its way nice and slowly in the first couple of sips, and it's like, yes, I am sake, I am your friend, I am here to take you to a better place. And then suddenly you wake up the next morning and all your clothes are missing. I've never had that experience before, don't bother asking. Although there might be, for those of you that again are regulars to the wine stream, you may remember that quite a few streams ago I was talking about different types of alcohol as like the types of friends that you would have. And sake is one of those alcohols that, if it was your friend, it would be the person that would slowly want you to relax and have yourself a good time, and then slowly, make you do things you shouldn't do, but you don't care. Whereas, anything harder than that, such as rum or whiskey or vodka, anything like that, or tequila in particular, that's where you have con horror stories. Let me put it that way. What else are people saying? Golden Lion Power says, greetings from Asia. Hello, Golden Lion. It's good to see that you are tuning in from all the way in Asia. I do believe we have a few Asian viewers. I hope that I am not keeping you from doing anything important. After all, in Asia, it is like morning time right now, and, you might have, like, breakfast to eat or something like that, or, things to do, like, tech support and all that. Well, not to generalize, but I did send that tech support to Boozy's place a while back. I wondered, Boozy, did you ever get that tech support? Let me know if you did. If not, I shall have to tell my human to go, book another flight to Philly or something like that. And what else is people say? Well, Altorio says, I generally go by the 8-2 run rule, sometimes 8-2-2. Well, Altorio, I do applaud you for sticking by that rule, especially the fact that you actually took it into your own hands. For those of you that are not frequent convention goers, there is a very, very long-standing rule for those that go to conventions and don't necessarily know how much how much is the minimum to take care of yourself. Now, this was a rule that was created by, if I remember, Dr. Robert Passavoy back a while back, and, mostly before any of you youngsters were around, but Dr. Passavoy was an actual physician, and he had created a rule of thumb for any convention goer to stick to if they wanted to maintain their health. 6-2-1. The 6 in that is 6 hours of sleep minimum per day, and, sometimes we get so worked up and so excited by conventions that we don't think that we need sleep, but your body will most definitely tell you you need sleep. So 6 hours of sleep, 2 square meals a day. 2 square meals means actual food. You sit down at an establishment like a restaurant, even a McDonald's would count, although I would not suggest it, depending on what you order. And you have actual veggies, you have actual carbohydrates, you have actual protein, things that would sustain you. Snickers will not sustain you, Monster Energy drink will not sustain you, and certainly not alcohol. Alcohol does not count as a meal. I will tell you right now, as a very, very certified drunk, that alcohol is not a meal. You have alcohol after you have had a meal. And if you're of age, of course. That's 6, 2, and the 1 is for shower. You must have at least 1 shower a day using soap. Again, which is why my human had somewhat insisted on the bathrooms of the Westin being overloaded with soap, and for the housekeeping to make sure there was always soap. So, soap in the shower. New change of clothes as well. You do not want to be putting on the same t-shirt you've been wearing for the past week after you've showered, because that would not work. And just as a PSA, please don't treat deodorant as a shower. It does not work. It is simply masking the smell and not getting rid of the germs causing it. So, again, 6-1 is the minimum, but of course there are always those cases where you need to adjust the numbers depending on your needs. So, if you need 8 hours of sleep, if you need 10 hours of sleep, which no one does at conventions, I'll have you know, if you need more than 2 square meals a day, if you need more than 1 shower, this is particularly important for those of you that are either very active during conventions or are in fursuit at conventions. You need to be showering more often than everyone else, because you are building up more icky stuff than everyone else, especially if you're in fursuit. But enough of my grandfathering over you all, although I don't know, most youngsters seem to enjoy me grandfathering over you all. You youngsters have sick, perverted minds to think that me grandfathering over you is all, oh yes, there's Grandpa Tien, oh yes, he's all like noodly and, you sick youngsters. Anyhow, let's see. Something, even have a bathrobe, says Jer Winddragon. Well, if you have a bathrobe, that is a nice plus. I do know that the Westin was at Vernal Equinox, and I'm not quite sure about the Westin at Anthrocon, but the Westin does provide a complimentary bathrobe to use during the convention, which I know that my human took advantage of. It was quite nice. And Wardius the Dragon says, you eat soap if you swear too much. Yes, wash your mouth out with soap is what all the oldsters would tell you, especially for the youngsters that don't really have a good control of what they say. I hate to think that it is coming from the age of social media that the censoring of one's words becomes too difficult to bear, but, well, I'd like to think that they were also raised better than that. So, hopefully we will not have to, take a bar of soap and shove it into a youngster's mouth and give them that dye in that form. It would be really funny to do so, and I'm not saying I've done it before in the past, but, well, I plead the fifth. You can't hold me accountable. And what else is happening over here? Indigo Ryu says, the rule which I learned is 6-1, 6 hours sleep, 2 meals a day, and 1 shower. That is correct. That is the 621 rule. That is a rule that everyone should be abiding by. Now, I will say that I have seen youngsters in the past have their own interpretations of that rule, and they turn into a freaking drinking game. They turn it into 6 shots tequila, 2 Jaeger bombs, and 1 big thing of tequila. Or 1 big thing of whatever else they drink as well. And that is not any way to go at a convention. If you are having a death wish and that is the way you want to go, that's a different thing. But don't be doing that at conventions. You're causing problems for the rest of us. That is, again, how con horror stories are done. And believe me when I say you do not want to be a con horror story. That usually means that you're not welcome back at that con. And Uncle Kage says you are wearing a Western bathrobe right now. Well, thank you very much for that mental image. Could everyone imagine that right now? Uncle Kage in his lovely Western bathrobe, and he's all like, yes, look at me, I'm Uncle Kage in my bathrobe. Actually, don't imagine that. No, cut the video. No, cut that thought out from your mind right now. Do not. I'm going to edit that out in post. We're not going to imagine that. We don't need any more of you sick youngsters having all these perverted thoughts about us oldsters. Let's leave that to our own eyes, not anyone else's. Moth, don't draw that, please. Don't. I know you're here. I know you're watching. You are not to draw that. Alright, what else is happening over here? And something, and Moth Monarch said, oh, and now the chat is going, bleh. Everyone was like, oh yes, Uncle Kage in bathroom, bleh. And everyone went wild. And Golden Lion Power asks, is Tien Long Asian? Well, I don't know. Why not you take a harder look at me and you make the call? And let me see. Jigard says, I'm actually writing a story who took place at a furry... who take place in a furry convention with real furries who comes inside involuntarily? Very good. I hope that story writing goes well. Thank you very much for that insight, Jigard. And let us see what else happens. And Moth Monarch says, for once I will not draw that, good lord. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate your kind thought. And, well, Uncle Kage's all humph about it. I am very sorry. It's just that, you know, some things weren't meant to be. That's all I will say. Anyhow, let's move on. Let us see what is happening. And, Nustul is here. Yakisoba says, I thought you couldn't make it. Well, clearly they were talking about another stream, or they were just simply pulling at your leg. Nustul is here. It's good to see you, as always. And Louis the 13, Louis the Turquoise Cat. That's a lot of names. I could not say that at first. I'm Puerto Rican and American. Oh, well, that's very good. I know that many of us, well, many of those at least in the chat are at least from a ways away. Not everyone is from this rock that we dwell upon called North America. I happen to enjoy a wide plethora of nationalities watching the stream right now. I know that we have plenty of furs that are in Europe, plenty that are from Asia, and some that are in South America even, and then those that are spread out on this rock known as North America. And I do appreciate the wide range of audience members that I have, and well, I do hope that my time is worth your time, or vice versa. Your time is worth my time, and I'm sorry. Well, there we go. I'm sorry. I have to take another drink for that. I'm sorry. The first glass is nearly finished. I can't have it all sad and meaningless if it's all empty, so I shall have to refill it very soon. And Golden Lion Power says, my mustache actually grows like Tien Long if kept for years. Well, that is an interesting fact, is that a lot of times people think that those of Asian descent cannot grow any sort of hair, whether facial or otherwise. where do you think the Fu Manchu comes from is what I would ask in return. The Fu Manchu is one of the most identifiable features of any Asian culture, especially if you look back at old mythological legends or, well, bad reruns of Chinese TV shows. We just have to exercise the patience and the discipline to maintain it as such, and well, that's how you get what us celestial dragons refer to as whiskers. Of course, down here they call them noodles, which then completely defeat the point of showing our discipline and our elegance and our wisdom. They just call these noodles as if you could get these at a ramen shop somewhere. The nerve of you children, thinking that you could have something as elegant as these called noodles. Actually, that happened this past convention at Vernal Equinox. I'll have you know. For those of you that might not have seen, I did only share it once on Twitter, but if you had not seen, there was an incident that happened at one of the events at Vernal Equinox, known as the Furry Fiesta. And at this event, I had wandered in just looking for my fellow noodle brethren, which there were quite a few, I was happy to report. But there was one particular youngster who had the absolute nerve to make fun of my whiskers. And, well, perhaps I should show you. I don't know if I can tolerate the look of it, but perhaps I should show the audience. Should I show you? I shall wait the 8 seconds for this video lag to, then suddenly go bleh, and everyone says yes, they want to see this insolence because someone apparently had captured it. I'm waiting for the stream to catch up, and all of a sudden this huge wall of yeses come in and show us, and yes, we want to see the whiskers and all that. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I sleep all night and I work all day. Yes, show it, yes. All right, fine, I'll show it. I'll show it for a split second because you youngsters and your insolence are absolutely intolerable. All right, let me see if I can pull it up, and I shall quickly make it a thing. Let us see. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Please bear with me, because I am now trying to do all this Asian tech support myself. Do I look like a technical support technician to you? Don't answer that question. All right, let us... And I find that file. Oh, that is absolutely wrong. Oh, that is wrong. We did not see that. That was... See, this is why we don't let old dragons touch technology, because all of a sudden it's like... Brrr, and suddenly... Well, there we are. We're seeing all the things that we shouldn't be seeing. Anyhow. All right, let's see if I can find this. I don't think that is it. Uncle Kage, no, you're not allowed to make fun of my attempt to Asian tech support, because I'm sorry, and so is the sake, and... All right, bear with me one more moment while I make this thing happen. Oh, shut up, computer, shut up. Don't you dare ring your jingles at me. That's inappropriate. Anyone or any machine that jingles at you like that is clearly very much lacking in mannerisms. Where's that photo? I had it somewhere here. Oh, that's the wrong folder. No one should see that folder. All right. There we are. Are you all ready to see this photo? I shall wait one more time because I am all reluctant to show this, and I shall turn away as soon as I hit the button to show it. Waiting for all the yeses to start suddenly barfing out into my chat, going bleh, and suddenly all the yeses will... What was that? Oh, that was... Oops, Oh, that is very unfortunate. The Mock Monarch drawing is drunk, and it fell over for some reason. Oh, but we are all okay. The Mock Monarch drawing fell over because apparently the Tien Long in the picture had a little bit too much to drink. So I shall just set that in front of me for now. Or rather, I shall open it back up and hope it does not take another tumble. Stop drinking, you. That's my job. All right, here we are. I'm going to show you the picture very, very slowly. Ready? There you go. That's all. That's all you get. Okay, fine. I'll get a little one. All right, ready? No. I can't believe I'm showing you kids this picture. That is the insolence that I had to put up with. All right, that's enough of a view, you youngsters. You're not getting any more than that. That I had to deal with at Vernal Equinox for some godforsaken reason. I shall move this over here. I don't know why this is all teetering and tottering. That is what happened at Vernal Equinox, and I have not yet gotten over that incident. I need another drink after seeing that. I am very sorry for that in particular. Sorry to you all. And now that glass needs a refill after I've seen that image. When I was first shown that image by my human pet, I didn't even have the words to describe it, but now I pretty much do, and those words are also etched in drawing form over there. Insolent youngsters need some dye, and I shall deliver that dye in the form of beating him to death with a plushy French fry. And I shall give myself another glass of this because now I sorely need it after seeing that. At least the Canadian sake is sorry. I don't think that doggo that was pulling that off was particularly sorry. I mean, did you see its face? Did you see that doggo's face? I'll show you one more time, just because... Do you see that doggo's face? Does it look particularly sorry to you? That's the face that says, oh, yes, look at me, I'm doggo, yes, I am doggo, and I'm very sorry indeed, because, you know, I'm doggo, and I'm, like, you know, whiskers and all that sort of stuff, and there's me going like, ugh, youngsters, this is why I have to drink, because of these doggos. Oh, that's the wrong camera. Oh, right, I did not mean to show you that camera before, but I actually have myself a new camera, which is actually meant for drawing. I shall debut that later, but essentially, I had gotten myself a new camera. Thank you to my patrons, by the way, because without my patrons, I would not be able to actually get a camera as such. But you see, this is part of the improvements I am trying to make slowly but surely. Is I have a drawing camera similar to what Uncle Kage has with his drawing camera, so that there are no more accidental crotch shots or butt shots or any kind, because I know that all of you youngsters are always keen to take screenshots and hit that print screen button as fast as you can when you see that there's a crotch shot. And that usually happens during that little transition, so I shall no longer be having such accidents because, well, I now have two cameras instead of just one. So thank you once again to my patrons for helping me as such. Oh, wait, where was I going to? Oh, I thought I was, I had another thought in mind. Yes, now that I see it, I was wondering perhaps I could recreate that same pose that was in that Moth Monarch drawing. I had my legs crossed, I had my hand somewhere on my lap. I think it's in my lap. And I had my sake gourd, my big, round, shapely sake gourd, being held to my mouth. So let us see if I can recreate that. I've got my sake gourd of course. I shall... Oh, my legs. Excuse me, old dragon. Try not to look down too much. I don't want you to be getting any ideas now. Moth, why did you have to draw me so young? I am old, and now you are forcing me to suffer for the enjoyment of these youngsters seeing me recreate that drawing pose. There we go. Just... There we are. That was my workout for the week. And I shall put my hand down here, and I shall drink as such. Am I recreating that pose now? Is this the right pose, I wonder? There we go, we'll call that right. We'll call that accurate. I have successfully recreated the pose from that moth monarch portrait of myself. So I'm happy with that. I shall leave that down here. There we are. And Jer Winddragon was going to say, pose like one of your French girls. Jer, I don't know if you've been to your eye doctor recently, but you need to check your sight, because apparently I look like a French girl to you, and that is nowhere near accurate. Anyhow, let's see what else is going on. And Moth Monarch says, I'm not making you recreate it. Well, you see, Miss Double Agent, or Mrs. Double Agent, I should say, you are the one that has so coyingly and craftingly made that image in a way that it would, sort of, influence my thought processes every time I look at it, and it's like, oh yes, perhaps I am young enough to assume that position once again and look all young and dashing and handsome and, forget that I'm an old aged dragon with bad legs and a bad back. So you see, I'm on to you. I know what your plan is, and particularly I know who you're working with, so don't think you can fool me for 1 second. And Newstool says, paw shots. Yes, you had a paw shot right there. I'm sure that most of you youngsters enjoyed that. Fine, have another one. There you go. That's all you get. All right, moving right along. Something. Tree Dog Studio says, are you Hanzo Shimada from Overwatch? I don't know who that is. They sound like a total schmo that you would find on the streets of Japan, but, well, if you see him, please tell him that Tien Long sends his regards. Let's see what else is happening. I am slowly feeling that Canadianness work its way into my very bones. Canadians are very good at doing that. They're very subtle in the ways that they have their invasions, so to say, into one's very existence. First it starts off with apologizing a lot more. You go around and you notice that you're being very sorry for everything. Actually, I'll share with you a little tale that happened. I had sent my human pet to go pick up Fu Manchu from the airport. For those of you that do not know Fu Manchu is a gentleman from South Carolina. He's a proper Southern gentleman, and he was coming to Vernal Equinox for the very first time. So I had sent my human pet to pick him up from the airport to receive him and make sure that Fu Manchu had a proper Canadian welcome. And by proper Canadian welcome, I meant like plaid shirt and flap cap and 2 Tim Hortons doubles and, very much apologizing. But there wasn't really anything to apologize for. Until my human pet saw Fu Manchu walking out the arrival doors at the airport and had just received him for a hug when the human pet had then accidentally bumped into another person that was there at the arrival door. And simultaneously, my human pet turned and the other person turned, and they both said sorry to each other. And it was the most Canadian moment that had ever happened in the history of Canada, especially to a first-timer in Canada such as Fu Manchu. And he thought it was so adorably Canadian. Can you imagine that, for those of you that have never been to Canada before, that you are walking through those doors, out the customs, out the baggage claim, and the first thing that you see is a sea of people apologizing to each other. Sorry, buddy, nope, sorry, friend, sorry, guy, sorry. That is exactly what had happened to Fu Manchu, and it was delightful. It was the most Canadian experience you could ever get. And on top of that, Fu Manchu's experience was made even better, because in that particular terminal, my human pet had relayed to me that they are now building, not only are they building a new Tim Hortons, they are refreshing the Tim Hortons that is there, but they are building a poutine shack right outside the arrival doors. So for any of you first-timers, when you go into Canada for the very first time through that specific terminal, not only do you have Tim Hortons waiting right in front of you, you also have poutine. Now tell me that is not the most Canadian thing you could have possibly imagined, along with a sea of people apologizing to each other. Canada, no wonder everyone wants to move here. And I don't know if any of you actually know, but after the 2016 election, the Immigration Canada website actually broke 3 times because of all the people trying to move to Canada. Fun little tidbit, but we won't get into the politics of things here. But yes, Vernal Equinox, quite an experience indeed. I'm beginning to taste the overtones of maple syrup right now. Either maple syrup or like a lumberjack got stuck inside here somewhere. Hold on, give me a moment. I think that was a lumberjack. He got stuck in between my teeth. I just had to wiggle him out, and now he's falling down into my gullet. But yes, the most Canadian experiences ever. What other experiences that I could define as being extremely Canadian? Well, the fact that at the Western Harbour Castle, which is where Vernal Equinox was, it is quite a public venue. It's not, some faraway airport hotel or in the middle of nowhere grand old castle that your friends used to occupy, but it is a proper convention hotel, by that sense that there's a proper conference center on one side, linked by a sky bridge, and then you've got the hotel that's all nice and fancy and well polished because it's a Western property. And, well, there are many different groups that frequent it. Now, here's the thing, is that in other parts, I've heard stories, and I've seen for myself, how it can get extremely sort of Wild Western, like if there's one group at a bar, and, well, another group walks in that isn't part of that same group, or is, say, completely different in every sort of way, the outsider, the foreigner sort of deal. And, like those Wild West movies, all the activity at the bar stops, and, the guy playing the piano stops, and everyone just stops, and, the person at the bar polishing the bar glass stops, and they all turn and look at you, and you're just like, I'm sorry. Well, the most interesting thing that I thought was, there was a hockey game. Of course there was. It's Canada. There was a hockey game that happened one of those evenings at Vernal Equinox, and after the hockey game concluded, there was a horde of hockey fans that stormed into the western lobby of Vernal Equinox, where, of course, because it's Vernal Equinox, there were a bunch of ferries. But these are hockey fans. These are your good old boys. These are your buddies. These are your guys. These are your friends. And they were also, well, very worked up, either because their team had either won or their team had almost won, one of the two things. Well, they had stormed into the bar, and from what I had heard, basically started up this very raucous chant of, yes, go team go, go team go, go team go. And there were a couple of furries there, and a couple of critters that were in costume, so to say, and they were like, go team go, go team go, go. And the critters at the bar were drinking, drink, and then they looked over, and the hockey team guys over here were like, and after a brief moment of silence, go furries go, go furries go, go furries go. And the furries were like, yeah, we're cool now. Yes, we have been verified by hockey fans. We are cool now. I crap you not. This actually happened at Vernal Equinox. Literally, there's just this entire horde of hockey fans stormed into the Western and became furries in the distance of 15 feet from the front door that revolves all the way to the bar. 15 feet. They went from hockey to furries. I am appreciative of this sort of city. The culture of my city, the city that I dwell in, that is one that it's like you can become a hockey fan, you can be a hockey fan and be a furry, and everyone will get along just fine as long as you're buying. Ah. And it was actually adorable because there was one particular individual who was actually trying to list the species of all the furries walking around in and out of the lobby, walking to and fro. And he was like, "Go, fox, go! Go, wolf, go!" And then he saw an angel dragon. "Go, go! I'm going that way. Yes, I go, go." Clearly the angel dragons were. Well, there's a funny story. Angel dragons, no one really knows what they are. Those of you that may have heard of Uncle Kage's story hour or even seen it on his wine streams, he has a rather interesting story about encounters with angel dragons, particularly for those that have no idea what angel dragons are. Perhaps you should find him at the bar at MCFC along with myself, and we'll give you a couple of stories. And Nustul says, Germany is better than Canada. Mwahahaha. Well, I will say that there's one thing that I will agree on in Germany, which is in Germany the bar is a lot more agreeable to the way that furries drink. The bar at the Westin, well, it's not that the bar at the Westin is bad, but I don't quite think they are used to furries yet. We have been at that particular hotel 2 years now. Last year was the first, and now this past weekend was the second, and I guess that the sort of ice-breaking period had passed, but they still weren't used to what kind of clientele that we brought. And they seemed to be a little bit hesitant about the drink orders that were flying here and there and all over the place. And, well, it seemed that it would be a little bit of getting used to over the weekend to keep up with the way that furries enjoy their evening ablutions. But at Eurofurence, which is in Germany, Berlin, of course, and, well, I might as well say I'll be back there this year. I do intend on being at Eurofurence. At Eurofurence in Berlin, the bar staff, they are so cool about it. If there's one thing that I appreciate, it is a cool bar staff. And that is actually one of the reasons why I enjoy Motor City FurCon as much as I do. Many youngsters ask me quite often what exactly is so worth going to Motor City FurCon for. One of the answers that I actually don't give out often enough, but I should, is that the bar staff and the hotel staff in general is quite cool with the convention. They're cool with our community, which is something that I would wholeheartedly support any day. If you are cool with us, I will be cool with you. That is essentially what it takes to be a furry. So Eurofurence and their bar staff, they were cool as a cucumber, as some Americans would say, when it came to the flying drink orders and, people drunkenly screaming, "Yes, give me your Kaltamushis," and, and they just shrug and pop a bottle of Kaltamushi open and slide it over to you, and you give them like €3, and that's it, and that's that. For those of you that don't get the reference, Kaltamushi is Deutsch for something not quite pleasant. But at Eurofurence, it has a different meaning, which is why I appreciate the bar being so cool with it. Uncle Kage, again, he has a very interesting story about Kaltamushi during a time where it wasn't so acceptable. I shall leave that to his story time sometime. But what else are people saying? Arabian Darkstone says, well, maple syrup is not the best way to attach fur, but I guess it will wait. Maple syrup is not the best way to attach fur, but did I miss something while I was rambling about the vernal equinox? Did I miss something? What is this about maple syrup being used to attach? Someone, please refresh me. This just got really, really Canadian. I don't have a Canadian flag with me now. Uncle Kage took it, but he's a flag thief. But someone, refresh me. What is this about maple syrup being used to attach fur? I would want to know, because that would be the most Canadian fursuit ever, being held together by fur. Bah. And someone has asked, will I be at Furrydelphia 2018? Well, I haven't really considered it, but perhaps if Philadelphia were to ask. Anyhow. And Mio Van Me said when the EF Hotel staff told me in person we would rather have a month-long FurCon than a weekend with banksters. Banksters, oh, that is quite ironic considering that my human pet now works at a bank himself, which is something that he hasn't really told me too much about, either because bankers are more boring than he anticipated, or bankers are more wild than he anticipated. But, yes, I agree. Most hotels actually think that furry conventions are rather tame in comparison to some of the other groups that they get. People think that furries are weird. You clearly have never been in hospitality before. If you work in the hospitality industry, my goodness, will you have seen some things. At my hotel, rather my pet's hotel manager, he had a meeting with him about 2 weeks before the convention, and that topic actually came up. My pet had told me that he had mentioned to the hotel manager, well, you know, hopefully our group doesn't weird out your staff too much, and, you know, we're coming back for the second year, but we want to be as, I guess, respectable as we can be. And the hotel manager just looked him straight in the eye and said, I apologize, I did not realize that it, suddenly stopped. Apparently the stream was suddenly like kaput, and then suddenly we are back here. I hope we are back here. Can you all hear me? Can you all see me? I shall wait for the stream to catch up now with the audience over there. Well, I can use this to sneak some Canadian sake. Oh, we are back. I apologize. We are back. I was not trying to sneak a drink, but now that you are back and we are back, I shall take a drink regardless. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry for that sudden jump in the stream. So where did I leave off, I wonder? I did not exactly keep track of where I was going. You see, again, being the aged, wise old dragon I am, we sort of just continue until either that happens or that happens to you. What time is it now? It is already almost 7:30. Goodness, I have been rambling incessantly for an hour and a half, and you are still here. Right, thank you very much, first of all. But, so what did the hotel manager say, says Yoshi. Goes, so that is where I left off. So, the hotel manager said, dude, you don't even know what happens at RCMP conventions. And my human did a double take. Wait. What? RCMP? For those of you that do not know, the RCMP stands for the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, also known as the Mounties, also known as those guys in red uniforms, also known as the only police force in North America that still rides horses on a regular basis, also known as that TV show called The Mounties. Apparently, the Mounties, of all groups that have conventions at that particular Western, apparently the Mounties are the guys that do it. They are the guys that are, well, how should I put it? They are the guys that created con horror stories. Let's just leave it at that. We won't be telling those stories at any of our cons, that's for sure. We don't want to be giving any furries any ideas now. And yes, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the Royal Canadian Kilted Yaxmen, and Aldia Carufius asks, do they do the hanky-panky with their horses? And, well, the hanky-panky, if, depending on what sort of a person you are, that could mean one or two things, and if you're thinking what I'm thinking, no, they do not do the hanky-panky with the horses, thank you very much. They are a respectable police force, I'll have you know. Except when they are having conventions, because apparently that's when RCMP takes on a whole new different abbreviation. That I won't say. That's a secret between my human pet, myself, and the hotel. Perhaps if you buy me a drink at the bar, I might tell you. Or several drinks. Moving right along. And Dmitry Kudryashov, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, they have horses in Baltimore. Oh, well, if they have horses in Baltimore, that is swell, but I don't know if the police force in Baltimore rides horses on a regular basis. You see, the RCMP, they are pretty much the Canadian stereotype standard for, enforcement of the law and of the country's, the country's upholdings and morals and whatnot. So they are the ones, again, in the red jackets. They are the ones in the, wide-brimmed caps. They are the ones that stand to attention and, say how sorry they are in perfect cadence and whatnot. And they are the ones that, again, ride horses on the street every day as if it was the most natural thing and we were back in the 18th century. What can I say? These are the Mounties. These are a police force, a regiment that is etched into the history of North America, even the world, I would say. And what you said, Tien arrive at your friends riding a horse, I say hell yeah. This is the thing about Eurofurence. If you propose that enough to the board of directors at Eurofurence, they will make that happen. I guarantee you. The board at Eurofurence, and particularly Night Fox, who is the vice president of Eurofurence, these people are serious. They do not do anything halfway, to quote Uncle Card. But they would take that kind of thing seriously. If you were to go up to Night Fox, you were to go up to Cheetah, you were to go up to anyone on the board of your ferns and say like, oh, let's get the GOHs to come in on a rocket ship, they would find a way to do so, and they would not get like a little teeny Toys R Us going out of business rocket ship to bring the GOHs in. They would get like, the NASA, SpaceX, Falcon X, whatever, bringing you the GOHs across the universe and back over to Berlin and have it landing in spectacular fashion right in front of the Astro Hotel. That is something that they would do. I guarantee that would happen. If you told them to get me into your ferns on a horse, well, I would only have one stipulation. I would have that horse with speakers mounted on either side of it, playing on an endless loop, "Look at my horse is amazing, give it a lick." And of course, some of you may know what it tastes like. Perhaps we can make that happen for this Eurofurence, can we? Please don't tell Night Fox this. He will actually make it happen. I kid you not. Night Fox will make it happen if you tell him this sort of stuff. Let's leave that for the imaginations. I rather like sitting in a limo. That's a lot comfier. And how? Let me see. A dragon would be eating horses instead of, mounting them, LOL. Jigard, I will tell you right now that we are in the furry fandom. You might be surprised, but I'm not going to go further into that. We may have children here. And let me see. Jerwin Dragon says, took on his winky. Took on his winky. Is that how it goes? I'm not sure. Anyhow. And Bruzo Dragonia says, our mounted cops ride horses. Yes, Bruzo, I do acknowledge that any police force that has a mounted division, the mounted division specifically is on horseback. That is why they are mounted. They are mounting horses. And by that, I mean actually riding them, which is, again, why the RCMP up here in Canada is the most famous for that, because their entire being is based off of mounting horses. They are the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. There is no Royal Canadian Police plus Mounted Division. They are specifically Royal Canadian Mounted Police. That is who they are. They don't choose to be on the horses. Like, they didn't choose the horse life. The horse life chose them. There, is that a better way to understand it? Can't believe I have to resort to youngster terms. Here's to my RCMP brethren out there. Why am I even saying that? I'm not part of their little fraternity. Here's to the RCMP out there. Thank you for riding your horses, and I'm very sorry you have to do so. There you are. Anyhow, let us keep on going. What time is it right now? It is currently 7:35 p.m., which means that I've been going for over an hour and a half now. I wonder, when is an appropriate time for me to do my drawings? Usually I do it around this time, but I rather like the sort of state that I am at right now, especially because this is still the first bottle and I've got another one sitting over there, so we shall see how long this lasts. But at the same time, you know, it's got me all Canadian and whatnot. I feel like I could just go and watch a hockey game. I could be patriotic and don a Maple Leafs jersey and go watch the local game happening right now. Do they have a game right now? I don't know, but I will go watch a hockey game regardless. See, that's the Canadian in the sake speaking. I'm not kidding you. This is dangerous stuff. If you have Canadian sake, it will turn you Canadian. This is why I stick to Japanese sake, because Japanese sake, if you know of the Japanese culture, it is all about respect. It is all about balance, tranquility. It is all about being aligned with oneself and the world around you. Those are traits which I possess as a celestial dragon until I find that someone has taken my wine. But being Canadian in terms of the sake, well, I find that moral compass is slowly shifting towards the, yes, let's go get a glass of poutine and drink some Tim Hortons and be friends, buddy, sort of spectrum. Perhaps I should bring this to Motor City FurCon and turn some people into Canadians for a day or two. I wonder if Uncle Kage and Alkali and Pandas... Oh, wait, Pandas is already Canadian. Uncle Kage, Alkali, maybe Boozy Badger. Maybe a couple of these good folk would like to be Canadian for a day. You know, that little mouth spray that they have, or rather that Uncle Kage has, the feel instantly Canadian mouth spray. That's a mouth spray. That is only meant to help you speak like a Canadian. If you want to be a Canadian, you must have the Canadian essence, absorbed into your bloodstreams, running through your veins, turning you into a true Canuck bit by bit. And, well, maple syrup may be able to do that for you, but it's not nearly as fun as Canadian sake, that I will tell you. Canadian sake. Very much overtones of apologies with a side of dry ice from the hockey game that just happened. Anyhow, let's see what happens here as well. Jagad says Steven Spielberg done a movie about horses during the First World War. Very sad movie. Well, I do know I do know which film you're talking about. The name doesn't quite come to me, but I have seen it, and I know what you're talking about. Indeed, it was very sad. But I try not to dwell upon such things, and especially times past which weren't exactly as joyous as the times we are having now. But thank you for bringing that up. I do know what you're referring to. Indigo Ryu says not 0:35 a.m. here, which means it is midnight where Indigo Ryu is. Well, Indigo Ryu, thank you very kindly. I'm glad that you are staying with me. And to the rest of you as well, I am sorry that you're staying with me. I'll tell you what, once that class is finished, we shall move on to the drawings for my patrons, which, well, not to deviate from the topic of the show, but my patron list, which I should not forget to read out if I can quickly find that said list. My patrons for my Grumpystream, which I have my eternal gratitude for, especially because they helped me get that new camera that I will be using for the drawings in a bit. But my patrons include Jackal the Sergal, Yakisoba, Arabian Darkstone, Altorius, Silent Dawn, Silvergatamon, Trottlebear, Volt Eshkol, Various Marshall, BT, Werewolf, Goldroxen, Angus, Elf, Boarin, Indigo Ryu, Amber Thompson, and Zragon. So thank you very kindly to all of my patrons who continue to somehow tolerate the fact that I am becoming Canadian for their entertainment. And here's the catch, is that, well, residing in Canada, one may think that I am already Canadian, but what is it to actually be Canadian? That is an interesting question. Is it simply being apologetic? Is it simply being nice to your fellow Canadian? Is it simply tolerating it? Is it simply being a buddy to everyone that is around you? Is it going to the hockey game and sharing a pint of Canadian beer, which is usually Molson afterwards? There's a lot of aspects to being Canadian, and I think that this Canadian sake would only allow me a glimpse of a few of those. But as long as it allows us to have a good time, then I am very, very sorry for that. So once again to you all, I am very sorry, and thank you for being here with me. Oh, it is getting quite good. And is it just me, or is it getting quite warm in here? Goodness, this Canadian is making me all flustered and all that. Oh, goodness gracious. Just stretch out a little over here. I'm sorry, buddy, but I'm not your buddy guy. I'm not your guy, friend. Oh, I forgot I'm on camera. No one saw that. We're going to cut that in post. We're not seeing that happen again, and we're cutting that in post. I shall make it happen. Anyhow, what else are people saying right now? Altorius says, still getting skips, getting a little annoying. I apologize if the internet is not quite up to par, for you see, I have unfortunately been held down by the constraints of human technology, not Asian technology. Yes, there's a difference. But unfortunately, as best as he could do, my human pet could not secure a better service in terms of the interwebs access for my abode. You see, living on Canada, unfortunately, we have, yes, living on Canada, dragons are rather large, we have to live on places instead of in places. Unfortunately, we are bound by the constraints of humans, and this particular constraint has a particular name, and that particular name is Rogers. So, if any of you are in Canada and you hear that name, that might mean something to you. Particularly, this internet service sucks and you're going to pay for it anyways. You're going to pay too much for it and we're not going to do a damn thing about it. So that is where my human pet has his challenges, and unfortunately it results in, well, a few skips here and there and that brief disconnect earlier, but we'll do what we can. And as long as, again, you are having yourself a good time, that is all that matters. We can have all the technical difficulties we want. We can have all the skips, all the blips, all the beeps and the boops and the moos and the meows and the beep beeps, I'm a sheeps and all that. But as long as you're having a good time, that is all that matters. Let's see what else is happening right now. Artorio says, if you Patreon $100, Tien will dedicate an hour of his time to you either online or at a con if you're attending. He'll also buy the first drink for you if at a convention. Well, Altorio, I see you've been going through my Patreon. Thank you very kindly for doing so. But That is correct. That is my patron tier reward for that particular subscription level. I don't quite have the opportunity to do that as of yet, and I'm hoping that perhaps in the future I shall be worth that sort of tribute. But at the same time, I am more than humbled by what anyone has to offer as well. You see, I don't want to make it as if I'm some, hobo on the street that's like peddling for change and whatnot. But I kind of am. But, well, I want to have a good time with everyone here, and it also gives me an excuse to have these bollocks wine tasting sessions with Canadian sake, as you can see here. And, well, after a few drinks in and almost the entire bottle finished, for this one at least, we still have another, it's actually not gone too terribly bad. Perhaps I will have to bring a couple of bottles to Motor City FurCon. It'll be difficult to explain that, however. My human pet will have to come up with some sort of reason as to why he's smuggling in all of this Canadian sake into America, because they might get offended that it's not American sake, and, he'll have to say, oh, well, it's for my buddy guy friends, eh? So I'm sorry, eh? Well, we'll see what happens then. Oh, well, it seems that I am skipping and dropping and all of that so far, but, we'll see what we can do about it. We'll just have to keep rolling along, keep the show going. The show must go on. But, just to reiterate, perhaps I should bring the Canadian sake over to America and, see who is willing to try it with me. Well, I wonder who might be going to Motor City FurCon next week. Actually, not next week. In 2 weeks' time. I wonder who may be going to Motor City FurCon that I might be sharing this sake with. I'll leave that thought at that. It's not often that you get a celestial dragon, one who prides in having a cellar full of the most absolutely blissful sakes in the world, offering to part, at least in part. And I already see Uncle Kage saying, me, gimme. All right, I shall share some of this Canadian sake with you. And Jer Winddragon says, I'll be there Saturday. Well, I shall see you there on Saturday then. But, again, I shall be at Motor City FurCon, and perhaps I shall invest in a few bottles to share. We can all have this absolutely transcending Canadian experience with lush aromatic flavors of lumberjack and fresh chopped pine trees, with a very distinct note of hockey game and sweaty jersey. Yes, that sounds like a wonderful thing to go into in 2 weeks' time, don't you think? We'll all be at the bar at Motor City FurCon, and, you'll have this lovely presented Canadian over here, and it'll be like, yes, can you see this Canadian? Can you smell its musk-laden, pine tree-scented plaid shirt? Because you're about to drink that. I would make a good sake salesman, yes I would. Perhaps I should do that in my spare time. I shall leave that there. There we are. And Dragoness Ether says, hi, sorry I'm late. Yes, you are. You have missed my Canadian wine tasting notes for this so-called Canadian sake, and I shall not be inclined to go over it again. All I will say is that it is making me very sorry, and when I am sorry, you'll be sorry. You can ask many a person that has seen me go through cities, tearing them apart, terrorizing the civilians by the masses. Oh, yes, when that happens, you'll all be sorry. You'll all be a part of Canada then. And speaking of all this Canadian invasion and being sorry, many of you may have heard that Indie FurCon, which happens in August, their theme this year is actually the Canadian invasion. That's right, they are having Canada invade them. Now, who knows why Canada would invade Indiana of all the states, but apparently Canada has their sights set on the state of Indiana, and in particular the city of Indianapolis. Unfortunately, because Indy FurCon this year is the same time as Eurofurence, both Uncle Kage and myself will not be able to invade Indy FurCon, but we shall be sure to, we'll be sure to send our regards from Germany, of course. We'll perhaps have our own little live stream there. We could even have like a little pseudo grumpy wine stream in Deutsche when we are over there. Uncle Kage, you are in the stream, are you not? What do you think? Do you think that would be possible? Perhaps you and I could have a pseudo wine stream / grumpy stream while we're at Eurofurence? After all, remember what I said earlier about the Germans making things happen if we so choose it to? We'll talk. We'll see what Night Fox has to say about that. And perhaps BBF. How much is left in this glass? I want to get to drawing, but there's still Canadian sake left in this glass. I shall have to partake in a little more. I'm sorry. Alright, let us see what is happening with the chat right now. And Altorius says, I blame Ajit Pai. Well, the thing is, I don't know if Ajit Pai's influence will spread up to this great white north, but if it does, I will promptly go down to Ajit Pai and I will reduce him into nothing but bites, if you get what I mean. And let us see what is happening. Radia says, talk to Silver. If you mean Silver the Viking, well, Silver the Viking, some of you may have seen him before on Uncle Kage stream, but Silver the Viking at Eurofurence does security, and well, he is also an electrician by career, by profession, but at Eurofurence, I don't know if Silver would have enough time to even help with the setup of doing a pseudo grumpy stream / wine stream at Eurofurence. That would most likely actually be a BBF sort of question. BBF is the production manager or supervisor at Eurofurence, if I recall correctly. He's also on the board of directors, and well, basically, if anything related to technology were to happen at the convention, BBF would be one of the people, if not the person, to talk to about setting that up. Especially if, say, I wonder, this might be a thing we could do. Say, for those of you that go to Eurofurence, and for Uncle Kage, if you're still there, not falling over from the TIQ, what if we actually made that a main stage event? Uncle Kage and Tien Long does the Deutsche Stream. Live from Berlin and live from Eurofurence 24. Uncle Kage, Tien Long, perhaps plus friends. Live from Eurofurence. I wonder. That could very, very well be arranged. The only question is, would that settle well with the folks at Eurofurence? We'll have to talk about that. We'll have to see what Big Blue Fox and Night Fox's appetite is for having not only one, not just two, but perhaps several slightly inebriated performers on stage doing it in benefit of Eurofurence. I think we shall see what the opportunities are. But I would very, very much be up for such a thing if it were to happen. After all, Eurofurence, again, they don't do anything halfway. And if you have ever seen their on-stage productions, it's like you're watching like a Las Vegas, prime time, new opening weekend, Cirque du Soleil sort of production. That is the quality that Your Ferns has, and if we were to have that for a stream with both Kage and myself, and perhaps our friends, well, I could definitely see that happening and being embedded into Your Fern's history. With that being said, I will have myself another sip of this, and perhaps I should just finish this off, because I am wanting to do the drawings, and I bet most of my patrons are as well. So cheers to you all, and of course, I'm very sorry. All right. With that glass being finished, it is now time to switch to the drawings for my patrons. And, let me just move that over there. For those of you that are new to the stream and do not know necessarily what is going on, my patrons that subscribe to me on Patreon and help keep this show running, with things such as helping me get a new camera, and of course helping me with this infernal internet fee that is provided by Rogers, well, they get a couple of rewards every month, which do include a personalized drawing of their request, which is then mailed to them every month. And, well, I don't know why they enjoy my drawings. I have absolutely no artistic talent, but they want it, so I provide it. Anyhow, I shall now switch to my new camera so that you don't get any crotch shots of my, aforementioned. I shall now switch to the drawing camera. Be right back. You didn't see... Oh, there's my tail. You're not getting any tail shots either. There's no towel over there. There. There we are. All right, that's a little bit better. You, saw nothing earlier, and that is most definitely not the image of, that doggo pretending to be me. Yes, anyhow, this is the new secondary camera, which I have invested in, so that, again, there are no shaky cameras, there are no crotch cameras. Can you all hear me? I have just newly set this up, just a few hours ago with the help of my Asian tech support. Can you all hear me well? Something. I shall wait for my audience to respond. Oh, and Arabian Darkstone says it's a bit quiet, but I can. Okay. Grandma Kage says, Laden. Yes, I guess we'll have to take this into account when we're at your fence. Everything might be Laden. All right, and Yoshikos says, ooh, good idea. Tien wearing a loincloth. Yes, you would say that, wouldn't you, Yoshikos? Me wearing a loincloth. The nerve of you youngsters. Bah! No loincloths, no underwear, no nothing of that sort for dragons. Huh. The nerve of you. Anyhow, I shall begin with the drawings now. Again, this is for my patrons that somehow think that I am a good artist and, well, at least worth the money that they so kindly give me every month. So we shall start with, well, from the top of the alphabet, which is Arabian Darkstone. Arabian Darkstone would like me to draw a feral female deer and feral male dragon with two non-sapient lab puppies. Do I have to do this alphabetical order? I guess I do. Well, actually I do not, because Altoyu would fall in first place, but I guess I've already announced Arabian Darkstone's idea. All right, well, this is going to be an interesting one. A feral female deer and a feral male dragon with two non-sapient lab puppies. All right. Let us see how we can proceed with this. So I shall open up this once again. I shall move these other papers to the side. I shall keep this one over here. This will be the primary drawing paper. All right, we've got my pen over here. This should be the right one. Yes, it is. All right, here we go. We've got, first off, we've got the female deer. So we've got over here. Something, something, something. And over here, she's got a nice slender neck. And once again, disclaimer that if you are looking for artistic talent, you will not find it here. All right. Female deer, feral. I shall draw a female deer. There we are. And she's got this nub tail, which apparently all furries seem to like. I don't know what it is with furries and nubs, but that is the new craze around this fandom. There we go. We have the doe deer. She's a very poofy doe. We shall give her some eyelashes as well. And then we have the big scary feral dragon, of course. Look how scary this big dragon is. Oh, isn't this dragon all big and scary? Yes, he is. He's a big scary feral dragon. He's gonna be all like nom 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 of a big scary feral dragon. There we are, and move this over a little bit. And he's got a nice erect tail. I wouldn't blame him. He's got a lovely doe beside him. All right, and they've got two lab puppies, which, well, one would assume that they mean, or rather Arabian means, Labrador puppies, but, well, do I look like an artist to you? I am going to draw the only puppies that I know how to draw, which if you were here at my stream last month, you saw a glimpse of what puppies I draw. Here we are. Oh, and apparently my camera is also drunk as well. It just tried to fall on me. All right, let's try that again. There's one lab puppy there. And there's one up here as well, and it's going mlem. Because as we know, puppies and doggos all over go mlem all over the place. And it's going whack, 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 whack. There we are. we've got Arabian Darkstone and his lovely doe wife with their two Labrador puppies over there. And, you know, one is going mlem and one is going blep. So, of course, you can easily tell the difference between a blep and a mlem simply by the direction of the tongue. If the tongue is going downwards as such, it is a blep over here. If the tongue is going sideways, it is a mlep, and if it is going over the tongue, it is a mlem. So this one over here is actually a mlep. It is going to the side and down, so it is an M-L-E-P, a mlep. So there we are. That is for Arabian Darkstone. For Arabian. There we are. Thank you very much, Arabian. It is much appreciated. Yeah, we'll add a few spots to his lovely doe wife. Couple of nice little distinctive markings and whatnot. There we are. Perfect. All right. Thank you once again, Arabian. I shall take care of that soon. Next up, we have Altoriu. And I have gotten smart, and I've actually laid out my papers this time in a very easy-to-grab fashion, because human papers, as you have witnessed before if you've watched this stream, are not exactly friendly to a dragon's claws. So I've developed a system in which they would easily be grabbed by me, and therefore we don't have to waste time watching me fumble with paper. There are less signifies ways for Celestial to lose his, well, dignity. Alright, Altoriu would like me to draw, for this month's stream, in tribute to a friend who recently passed away. Can I get a picture of myself and my friend Marco T. Rat hugging one another? Well, alright. I'm going to do something a little different before I start this drawing. Apologies, I shall be... We are back to this regular camera. And the reason why we are back to the regular camera is because, well, Altoriu, I saw this request and I had thought about it myself. In the current community that we are in, it seems that the current state of furries is that there are so many things that we take for granted. The most of those things, the most understated of those being each other. We take each other for granted. We take the joy, we take the involvement, we take the passion that we pour into this community that we love so dearly for granted. It is something that we no longer appreciate until it's too late. And this goes for anyone that is part of our community, whether you've been here for 20 hours, for 20 weeks, for 20 years or more even. And, well, with the way that things are as of current, with people departing left and right, old friends and new alike, I want to at least take this moment before I continue to at least commemorate those that have gone or perhaps might not be here tomorrow that we may not know of. And that does not only include Marco T. Rat. That includes other people that have given their all to this community, regardless of who they were, regardless what they may have done, regardless what people may have said about them. Because the one thing that brought all of us together was our mutual love and respect for each other. I don't want that to disappear. It feels like it is. From the core of my very existence, it feels like it is. And I truly, truly hope that that does not happen. So I will implore of all of you that are watching, if you are, please do your job in this community and keep that love for each other alive. We are here simply to celebrate and enjoy each other's company and in our mutual love for this world we've created for each other. If you feel the same way that I do, well, I am very, very much humbled by your understanding. And, well, though I have not refilled my glass yet, which is a cardinal sin in my opinion, to all of you out there, thank you for being with me, and thank you for being a part of this community. I apologize for sort of deviating off onto this heavier note, but it is important that we remember those that are here and those that have come before us. So, for Marco and for all those that were once with us but are now off to better places, this one's for you. Now we shall return back to the drawing, and I shall hopefully attempt not to completely ruin this lovely sentiment of yours, Altoriu. So, give me one more moment. Dum-dum-dum. There we are. We did not see any more doggos with noodles on their faces. All right. Let us continue on with Altoriu's request. We have Altoriu over here. I shall draw Altoriu first, as I am more familiar with Altoriu. I apologize if it's not exactly Marco, T-Rat, Altoriu, but, again, a disclaimer that I am not an artist, I am a drunk. There's a big difference. All right. There we are. We have Altoriu and Marco T-Rat. And, well, if you'll allow me, Altoriu, if you will allow me. There we are. That is for Altoriu and the late Marco T-Rat. I have never had the pleasure of meeting you, Marco, but wherever you are, I hope that you have received the love from Altoriu and the rest of us tonight. This is for Altoriu and Marco T-Rat. There we are. That is for Altoriu and Marco T-Rat. That is for you, Altoriu, and I do hope that I have done it justice. Moving along now, we have, next up, BT Werwolf. BT Werwolf, gute Nacht. Let us see what BT's request is for this month. Dear Tien Long, I think due to recent misassumption of species, you should clearly show what Tien Long is and what not. So why not make a drawing that you are not Tien Meow, Tien Wolf, Tien Sheep, Tien Deer, Tien whale. Um, and on the other half, a recognition picture hosing off Tien Long. Do you want to hose me off? Well, there is a drop down for that. Hosing a Tien Long like cat, wolf, sheep, deer. Hosing off Tien Long and important features that make clear he's a dragon. And not letting anyone make any nose jokes. Okay. Well, I see what you are trying to get at here, and, well, the most I can say is I will try my best, but I do make a point of telling everyone of a Long's most important features. All right. Well, in that case, let us see what sort of differentiations I can make between a long and, well, not a long. Let's see what I can do, shall we? All right. First of all, we shall split the page in half. There we are. We have not long, and we have long. There we are. Now, we have not long and long first. And I think it's most appropriate to show off what a not long is. So, a not long this is not a long. This is a kitty. Kitty goes meow. This is not a long. This right here is a kitty. Kitty is not long. Kitty goes mew, and that is not long. Next, we have a sheep. And what noise does a sheep make? Well, we all know that answer. That answer's very obvious. A sheep makes a beep sound. And that is not a long either. That is a sheep, because it goes beep, beep. I'm a sheep. I am not a sheep, that is a sheep. I am a long. This is a sheep, I am a long. All right. And lastly, but not leastly, we have... What was that last thing again? We had kitty, we had sheep, and we had goat. That's right, we had goat. And what sound does the goat make? This sounds like the remix of that one song, What Does the X Animal Say? What sound does the goat make? Well, meh. That's the sound that the goat makes. It goes meh. All right. There we are. These are the not long creatures. What a long actually is, if I can show you. This right here is a Long. The Long is currently in the city, and the Long is not happy. Probably because someone had been in his cellar. That is a Long right there. And the most important features are these right here. Those are the Long's whiskers. That is a Long. The rest are not Long. This is Long. He is destroying the city right now. Alright, this is for BT Werewolf. I shall sign it up here. For BT. Thank you very much, BT. Much appreciated that you would like to help clarify what is and is not a Long. Alright, next up, we have Jackal the Surgle. Jackal the Surgle. Jackal the Surgle. Oh, where did that go? That flew away somewhere. I don't know where that went. There we go. We'll take that one more time. Alright, make sure that is centered. Jackal the Surgle says, I'll give you a free one. You pick. I wonder, well, if I were to pick, what would I draw? Perhaps I shall draw... I know what I shall draw. I shall need a reference first. There we are. That's a good reference. This, for example, is what I'm referencing. That's what... Yes. A Canadian. I am referencing a Canadian. All right, here we are. We have... This is the flapjack hat. There we are. We have ourselves some Canadian sake. And the Canadian sake, of course, is apologizing. And then we have, move that over here. None other than the wine thief, of course, with his best tie on, because he must look immaculate as a southern gentleman. And he's got his freshly pressed lab coat. And he's being very Philadelphian. There we are. We have Uncle Kage meeting the Canadian sake, which perhaps he may do in 2 weeks' time at Motor City FurCon. So, this is for Jackal the Surgle. You get Uncle Kage meeting the Canadian sake, which is apologizing already. With googly eyes, of course, because it works for googly. This is for Jackal. There we are. Thank you very much, Jackal. And what do we have next here? Next we have Silent Dawn. Silent Dawn, good to see you. Silent Dawn asks, so if you don't mind too much, could you draw for me myself tangled up in a car's wiring harness? Oh my, is that time of night? A car's wiring harness, as I have it all apart and strewn around all over as I diagnose an electrical problem. That should keep you busy for a bit. Thanks. Okay, well, Silent Dawn, you see, I do appreciate the attention to detail and complexity of your request. However, I will counter with I am an old, irritable dragon. I have no patience. I want my sake, and I have none while I'm drawing. So I'm not going to keep myself waiting much longer. All right, let's begin. We have Silent Dawn, who is being, of course, a tiger. And he's kind of upside down for some reason. But, you know, cats and all, you know, they don't really have any sort of stable form. They're very liquid-like. They sort of just go into whatever direction they could possibly go in. And Silent Dawn is playing with some electrical wiring, which looks very much like a ball of yarn, because cats would think that yarn is electrical wiring, just so they don't get in trouble whenever whoever owns the yarn finds out that a cat's been tangled up in it. So you see, the entire body of Silent Dawn has been enveloped by the so-called electrical wiring. You see, it's like yarn vor right there. You know that someone's taking screenshots of this right now when creating a yarn vor drop-down, if there isn't one already. And then we've got a car, apparently over here. There we go, there's my interpretation of a car. I don't know how to draw cars well, I just step on them. And the car is apparently taken all apart, but this one is like, I guess, you know, not yet serviced. And then the other one here is the one that is taken apart. I shall draw it like windshield is here, and then it's got, you know, its wheels or whatnot. But then, you know, the entire front is like just taken apart, and the electrical wiring is what Silent Dawn is rolling in now. And there's, you know, other wiring strewn about here and there, and he's doing a very good job of fixing the car while he's rolling around in the electrical wiring. And then here's his toolbox that he has when he's fixing his cars. And of course it's Silent Dawn's because it's got a paw print on the toolbox. There we are. All right. And put a latch on the toolbox. There we are. All right, so Silent Dawn is currently rolling in the electrical wiring, and there's 2 cars and they need to be serviced, but he's too busy being a cat because that's what cats do. All right, that is for Silent Dawn. Hey, I told you I am not an artist, I am a drunk, and a very irritable one at that. All right. For Silent Dawn. There we are, that is for Silent Dawn. Thank you very much. And next we have Silver Gatomon. Silver Gatomon, it's good to see you. All right, Silver Gatomon. Silver Gatomon. Oh, and before I forget, Silent Dawn, I'm not reading the chat at the moment, but Trottle has not responded with a drawing request. If you could poke Trottle for me and make sure that he gets his request in the next few minutes, that would be most appreciated. So, I shall go with Silver Gatomon next, and I shall come back to Trottle Bear's request. I am not looking at the chat again, but Silver Gatomon would like Tien's shoulder bows fighting over whether or not to give Silver Gatomon die. Okay, that is certainly doable. I have my shoulder bows which speak to me every day about whether or not I should give die to one or another. Alright, here we are. We have myself. I should probably draw myself in like the big, so I will embigify myself. Rough fluff from some sort there. Alright. We have myself. And I am sort of in a very pensive state, because again the shoulder bows are discussing. There we are. We have myself standing rather stoically, I may say. I'll finish off some of the features. Alright, so there's myself, and I've got one shoulder bow over here. This shoulder bow on my left shoulder shall be Devil Bow. And he's holding his devilish pitchfork, which is actually a plastic fork from the nearest Chinese local takeout place. But no one needs to know about that detail. And he's got his devil horns, which kind of already seem like mine, so... And we'll give him little bat wings to show that he is Devil Bow. There we are. And he is saying, die! And then we've got... Over here we have the Angel Bow. And Angel Bow has the sake, which is like the good bribe. Angel Bow is a little smaller, but I guess that's because Angel Bow has been good in keeping themselves on a diet, which I have not, because, well, if you remember, 2 streams ago I had imposed a sake or no rice diet on myself, and, well, since sake is made of rice, well, I guess I have to get carbohydrates from somewhere. All right. Angel Bow has the halo, and of course the angel wings over here. There we go. Although Angel Bow looks kind of angry. And Angel Bow is saying, no die. And of course, myself, I am going... Of course, I am always growling, but that's just who I am. Oh, Angel Bow only has 1 horn. Not very horny, is he? There we are. That is Angel Bow and Devil Bow, arguing over die or no die. Alright, and this is for... Silver Gatomon. There we are. Thank you very much, Silver Gatomon. Alright, now again we are going back to Truttlebear, who had not given me their drawing request, at least I had not seen. So I shall open the chat window. Silent Dawn, I would like you, or if Truttlebear is here, I would like to see what their request is. So I shall wait again another 20 seconds. Dum 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 dum. All right, let us see. Does Silent Dawn or Truttlebear have a response for what Truttle's drawing will be? If not, well, I guess I'll just have to take it into my own hands and draw on behalf of Truttle. You don't want that happening, do you? You might not be able to unsee what I would draw. I'm still waiting for the stream. Oh, check your email again. He said he sent it. Okay, well, I can certainly do that. Let's see if I can find it. Making me check my emails and the intertubes in the middle of a stream. The nerve of you youngsters. All right. Please draw a turtle bear and an SD tiger painting Easter eggs. Okay, well, I can certainly do that. A turtle bear and an SD tiger painting Easter eggs. All right, let us see what we can accomplish with that. We first draw a turtle bear on this side. He's a very bearish sort of creature. I don't know why, don't ask me, it's not obvious. And he's got his nice shirt on because Turtle Bear knows how to keep it classy. And Turtle Bear has a paintbrush in this hand. And Turtle Bear is holding an egg by its top. I am not sure why, but maybe Turtle Bear just does it that way. And Turtle Bear over here is painting an Easter egg. Perhaps they are surrounded by eggs of sorts. Perhaps these are, Easter eggs from the magical land of the Easter Bunny, or perhaps they're like alien eggs and like, oh god, you're just starting the next aliens revolution, except you're making it all cute. Alright, and perhaps we'll have a basket here full of painted Easter eggs. And these are all nicely painted and whatnot. Very, very nice, very colorful, very cheery, which I don't know anything about. There is absolutely no cheer in my household whatsoever. Alright, we've got Turtle on that side. And guess what? Silent Dawn is just going to be upside down rolling in the eggs because he's a cat. I don't care if he's a tiger, he's a cat, and that's what cats do. They roll around in things. So Silent Dawn over here is all upside down and is rolling in eggs. And now she'll draw some eggs on top of Silent Dawn. There we go. Flip that back around. Perhaps these eggs have like catnip inside them, and that's why Silent Dawn can't pay attention to painting them. So maybe Silent Dawn is like an Easter basket themselves. And like Silent Dawn has already smooshed all the eggs on his side. Alright, and then perhaps we'll have a nice sun over here because it's probably outdoors during Easter, and the sun, of course, has to be surprised. There we are. Probably surprised at Silent Dawn rolling in the eggs. Perhaps we should actually give his shirt some definition. There we are. So, Turtle Bear painting Easter eggs and Silent Dawn being a cat. That works for me. Alright, there you are. That is for Turtle Bear and Silent Dawn. There we are. That is for Turtle. I shall rescue that one in a moment. Yeah, I'll rescue that one in a moment. Alright, next up we have Volt Ashcore. Volt Ashcore would like, for their drawing, this time, I'd like to see you draw yourself coming back from FE and showing us how you felt after all that booze and craziness. Well, that's a rather easy request, but, well, I'm not complaining about that whatsoever. There's only one mood I had felt after I came back from Vernal Equinox. There we are. That is the mood that I came back from Vernal Equinox with. Perhaps we'll have a big Canadian flag over here. There we are. Something like that. Because, yes, after you come back from Vernal Equinox, you are very sorry. In the best way possible, of course. You're only sorry that the convention ended, not that the convention itself was bad. But I did come back from Vernal Equinox, and I was very sorry. All right, and I shall say, in brackets, after Vernal Equinox. There we are. That is 4 Volt. Thank you very kindly, Volt. All right, next up we have Varius Marshall. Varius, good to see you. Varius Marshall would like for me to draw Tien wishing Varius of good recovery because Varius underwent surgery not too long ago. Oh, well, I am very sorry to hear, and I hope that you're doing better, Varius. I can definitely do something of sorts like that. This is one of my few smiley face moments, I guess. There we are. That is myself raising a glass to Varius, saying, get better soon. You still have wine for me. There you are. That is Tien Long toasting to Varius, wishing that you get better soon because you still have wine for me, and I know that you do because you've said so many times already. This is for Varius. Thank you very much, Varius. All right, we have, last but not least, certainly not least, we have Yakisoba. Yakisoba. Oh, I don't have any more of my little paper leaflets with me. I'm going to have to quickly step over to where the rest of my spare paper is. All right, let's see. I can at least leaf one out. No, Xiaolong Bao, you may not take the rest of the Canadian sake. All right, there we are. Perfect, there we are. All right. Once again, last but not least, we have Yakisoba. And let me see what Yakisoba would like for their drawing. Yakisoba would like Ronnie and Moth Monarch doing shenanigans at Vernal Equinox. I can certainly do such a thing for you. All right. So, first of all, we have Ronnie over here, my pet that helps me get all of my sake while I'm too lazy to do so. He's a rather happy noodle, at least most of the time. There we are. He's also quite bow as well. I don't know. Let me see if I've got that reference right. Give me a break. Hold on. Does that look like Ronnie? I don't know. It mostly looks like Ronnie. All right, well, bye, Ronnie. All right, so we've got Ronnie down. And we have Moth Monarch. I've actually never drawn Moth before, so I will try to draw Moth. Well, I shall try to draw Moth. That's all I can really say. I don't really know how to draw a Moth Monarch. I guess I shall draw I shall draw a bug. I shall draw a happy bug. Yes, a happy bug works best. And of course she's got her big, big moth wings. Those big, beautiful moth wings. And then we have Uncle Kage over here. Looking very much like he just had, well, a rough week, or he just found out that shenanigans were being plotted against him, and he's thinking to himself, that's not how it starts out. Damn kids. Alright, there we are. And then, of course, there is like a giant gift box behind Ronnie and Moth Monarch, because that's essentially what they do, because it's fun to see Uncle Kage's reaction every single time. Alright, well, perhaps I should also add like a ribbon and a gift wrap. There we are. That is Ronnie and Moth Monarch at Vernal Equinox. Oh, it has to be at Vernal Equinox, so there has to be the Canadian flag somewhere. There we are. There we are. That is Ronnie and Moth Monarch at Vernal Equinox, plotting shenanigans against Uncle Kage. He's all steamed and huffy and fussy about it because, well, Uncle Kage is not a fan of surprises, but, well, he'll take it from these two. That's kind of the exception to the rule right there. This is for Yaki Soba. Perfect, and I believe that does conclude the Patreon drawings for this edition of the Grumpystream. So, once again to all of my patrons, I do thank you all so humbly for your continual support of my non-existent artistic skills. Now, back to the main camera. We shall be back in just a moment. There we are, and we are back to the regularly scheduled programming, which means I can actually now go back to the chat and see what is going on. And Moth Monarch says, where are my antennae? I am very sorry, Moth Monarch. Were you expecting artistic talent? You're in the wrong stream for that, my dear. Nevertheless, I shall make sure that I can add that later on. Remember, the magic of video editing is you can always fix it in post. So I shall add that later on for you. But that is, once again, the drawing portion of my Grumpystream. Those are for my patrons who donate at a certain level or above. And I thank each and every one of you for doing so. You help continue to make the stream better and make the stream happen, in fact. And I can only hope to continue entertaining as much as I can. And Uncle Kage is departing for the evening, so I shall wish you, my good friend, where's my glass? Oh, there's my glass. It is not it is empty. What a shame that is. I shall fill it up soon, but thank you very kindly for joining me, my dearest friend. I shall see you in 2 weeks' time in Detroit. And with some more Canadian sake, perhaps? Ah, speaking of my empty glass, I shall now strip this Canadian and open him up. Perhaps we should get like some particular music to help this along. I don't know if that would be appropriate or not. I just realized we are on YouTube live stream, which means I will get hit with a copyright if I start playing anything that I don't own or is royalty free. Oh, and Arabian Darkstone says, sadly, I think I will be going as well. Wife wants to do stuff. Is that right? Wife wants to do stuff. Well, in that case, I wish you two both a good evening, and, play nicely, you two. Well, in that case, perhaps I should only indulge in a little bit of that bottle. I shall indulge in one pour, since it seems that, again, the stream is beginning to wind down. But again, let us just slowly help this innocent, nubile Canadian enjoy the evening. Very much so. This Canadian that's so unsuspecting, so apologetic. And that is when it goes right down into a dragon's throat. I'm sorry, did I forget to mention this stream was a little, at that point, so to speak? Too late, you're here with me now. This is what you signed up for. You didn't read the fine print. There was a fine print in, like, the beginning banner that said, this stream is completely inappropriate for anyone with a shred of dignity whatsoever. And you decided that it'd be a good idea to stay. So, well, you're here now. You might as well enjoy. All right, I'm not going to get too greedy, mainly because, again, it seems that, again, the stream is winding down quite a bit, and I do realize that many folks are at least at their bedtime, if not having stuff to do, and I wouldn't want to be imposing on that whatsoever. And yes, Indigo to you says it correctly, decapitation, you see? That is like the whole basis of a horror movie right there was like, yes, let me just entice you a little bit, and then I rip off your head. That is exactly a horror movie in the making. They should make me a film director. That would be a fun retirement hobby. There we are. And Jerwin Dragon says, I'm too much enjoying my evening already. Well, I'm glad to hear. And Yakisoba says, Moth Monarch, is the video of the delivery up already? Well, I don't know what delivery this is. Is this something that I should know? And Volt Ashcore says this must be the only kind of porn Tien likes. Volt, I'll tell you honestly and truthfully, it's the only type I get. At our age, it truly does become a matter of you take it where you can get it, and I get mine at the grocery store. I'm sorry. Tastes very Canadian indeed. Very much overtones of cold Canadian air mixed in with geese droppings and a lot of drunken hockey fan spittle. And Vadia says, 2 a.m. Norwegian time, I'm staying here to the very end. Careful now, Vadius, I might just take you up on that challenge. And Silver Gatamon says to quote Bucktown, the stream is rated M for myrrh. Well, again, if you're finding a particular type of enjoyment or excitement from watching an old aged dragon, you have terrible tastes, and I suggest that you get yourself seen to, because, well, old aged dragons are not suitable for rated M. We are not very myrrh, believe me when I say that. And Nisbet says, Tien Long not being greedy about sake is kinda like saying the sun isn't going to rise tomorrow. That's all I'm giving you, anyhow. And Volt Ashkor says, I think people are enjoying the sight of you stripping Canadian sake down while looking at you from the legs up. Well, that slightly concerns me now, because were they looking at the stripping of the Canadian sake or the already stripped celestial, moving right along. Anyhow, Hiwi Kiwi says, is it bad? I like Bailey's Irish cream by itself. As long as you're enjoying it, that's all that counts. Doesn't matter whether other people enjoy, doesn't matter if the world tells you that, oh, you should have Bailey's Irish cream only with your coffee or pour it over vanilla ice cream. As long as you're enjoying it and it's not hurting others, you do what entertains you. And let me see. And Volt Ashko says, oh, they were looking at both. Well, here's what I'm concerned about, Volt, is they may have been looking at both, but what was getting their minds stirring is what I would like to know. Were they perhaps projecting the whole stripping portion to a celestial dragon stripping down as well? Because you'd never find that. Oh, I would assure you, you'd never find any evidence of a celestial dragon stripping down. Because no one would want to film it, sadly. You sick kids and your perversion. Nisbet asks, you think you'll be dragging Grandma Kage to MCFC one year? Well, that is a good question, but it really becomes a question of whether or not Grandma Kage would even stand for no as an answer. You see, Grandma Kage, she essentially thrives off of the furry fandom as her entertainment. There's not many grandmas that can say that. Most grandmas, they enjoy, knitting. They enjoy sitting at the park. They enjoy, old lady social groups. Grandma Kage, I know for a fact, her number one hobby is furries. If she had the chance and she had, the ability to, she would have a party or even a convention at her place every weekend. So what's to say that she would take no for an answer whenever, she catches wind of a convention and Uncle Kage says, oh yes, I'm going to MCFC this weekend. And she says, oh, if only I had someone to take me to all these furry cons. And that's when she gives the Grandma Kage puppy eyes, and of course Uncle Kage says, all right, you're coming with us. And usually he sicks me onto her as babysitting duties. So he gets to run off to the bar and I have to be all mopey and gropey, but, well, at least Grandma Kage likes to drink wine, so there is that. Well, let us see what else is happening as well. Look, Richard says we are here to see Sake getting ravaged by celestial dragons. Me too, Luke. Here's to you. I am very sorry. I am here to be ravaged by Sake. Or the other way around. Yes, I'm very sorry. There you go. There we go. Nom, nom, nom. Good stuff indeed. And because it is Canadian sake, I don't really have any alternative, descriptions or, words of praise for it. If it was a Japanese sake, I would say, something like sugoi or something like that. I would say words of adulation in the native language. But because this is Canadian sake, well, I guess I can say I'm very sorry. Oh, goodness. The overtones of ice skating shavings are definitely hitting me right now. But as I said, the evening is winding down, so I do propose that once that glass is finished, then so is the stream. Volt Ashkor says, as long as she got plenty of wine. Volt, you have absolutely no idea. There is a certain charm about ladies that, well, it goes without saying they have every tool in the toolbox to get what they want, including alcohol, and I would argue especially alcohol. Grandma Kage, all she has to do is she rolls up to the bar, she rolls up to a room party in a little wheelie scooter, which is usually set to the fastest mode possible, so she's like drifting into the spot. And then, she takes her cane and she bats people aside, get out of my way, old lady coming. And then she gets to the bar and she sits herself down on the bar stool and she looks at the waiter or the bartender dead in the eye and says, "Fill it up." And, well, that's what happens. They fill her up. They fill her up with the finest of wines, the finest of Pinot Gris, the finest of Grigios, the finest of Moscatos, the finest of Rosés, of Rieslings. She likes it on the sweeter side, if you can't tell. But she gets her way around. Let's just leave it at that. Not in that way, but in the way of she gets her wine. That's what I will leave it at. And Altoriu says, yeah, getting to that point, it seems getting pretty sensual with drinking that sake. Altoriu, I will tell you that I am innocent in every count possible right now. I don't know what sort of accusations you are throwing around my way, for a dragon, a celestial at that, does not break his dignity for even the most sensuous of sakes whatsoever. I guarantee you that. And Nustool says, okay, guys, and Grandma Kage and Tien Long, I have to leave. Thank you very kindly for joining Nustool. I don't believe the stream will be lasting much longer, but at the same time, I hope that you have yourself a pleasant evening. Grandma Kage says, good night, still buffering. Don't make me have to come over there and fix your internet. Goodness gracious. All right, well. Grandma Kage. Grandma Kage. I have a little bit of an idea. Now that Uncle Kage is gone, I have a bit of an idea. I'm not going to share it with the stream. I'm just going to say I have an idea. Grandma Kage, if you're able to see this, I am going to send you an email after the stream, and I shall see what you think of it. But I have an idea. We'll leave it at that. And Altoriu says, sounds like Big Blue Fox when he manages to get beer after last call. Altoriu, like I said, the Germans get anything they want and they make anything that you want happen. That's all I can really say about it. Like, Eurofurence is like one gigantic, like, Panzer Grenadier machine, and I'm not saying that because the head of security is a Panzer Grenadier, but they are just one giant panzer in the sense that they will demolish every obstacle in their way if it means getting to that crazy idea that they have in their minds. Whether it's the Eurofurence-sponsored stream that I had proposed earlier, whether it is, getting, an entire brewery to come to Eurofurence 24 and open up shop for just the convention goers, they will make it happen, I guarantee you. And yes, all the youngsters are now saying, oh goodness, Tien has an idea. That is something you do not hear of often, and you are right to be cowering under your desks and hiding in your bunkers. For when Celestials get ideas, well, it's something that you might not want to be involved in, let's just say. Alright. It seems that, well, Mightius is saying the stream is glitching a lot for me and I'm on a mobile device. I don't know, but it seems that people are experiencing issues with the stream. If you're still on right now, would you be so kind and tell me whether or not the stream has been shaky, to say the least? As of this evening, I'd want to know, just so I can take something back to that insolent provider of the interwebs that I have to deal with, and, well, serve them a nice healthy helping of die. We'll wait for all the youngsters to respond. I shall indulge myself in some more Canadian sake. Jackal says, lag, yes, super lags, yes, yeah, low laggy and palsy, not my end, tested it. It is freezing for half a second every 10 seconds for me, buffers something. Okay, so what I'm getting is that for some people it works fine. For others it is buffering something. It's been glitching all night. It's buffering every now and then. Huh. Alright, well, in that case, I don't really feel comfortable running a buffering or laggy stream, and, well, my glass is almost finished, so I shall say once again that once the glass is finished, so is this stream. But to reiterate, this won't be the last time, certainly not the last time that you shall see me on stream. I shall be hopefully doing one in the later weeks of April, and I shall also be at Motor City FurCon. If you are headed to Motor City FurCon, do be so kind and buy a dragon a drink at the bar, but I would be glad to make your acquaintance, or at least reacquaint with you if we have already. And we shall see what happens there. I don't have any plans for Motor City FurCon, and I haven't been contacted by anyone to do anything so far. But we'll have to see what Motor City's appetite is for Celestial Dragon's involvement. But at the same time, I am more than happy to just enjoy the convention as an old dragon. After all, I am in retirement. I am not going to run around looking for work or things to do. I have earned my rest, and in that time, well, I enjoy just simply socializing. I enjoy seeing the youngsters that aren't irritable, or at least don't make me irritable. But, we'll see what happens at Motor City. It is a time for us to just enjoy the simplicity of our community, which is each other. And like I said earlier, at the end of the day, that is what we have. We only have each other. Past the performance, past the artworks, past all of the glamour, past all of the social media, at the end of the day, this community is all about being there for each other. Irritable old dragons might not be able to do such, but I hope that you're able to do that for a friend, and that your friends are able to do that for you. So I hope that if there's anything that you take away from this evening, it's that you will strive to continue keeping out for each other, being a good friend to those that may need it. I'm sorry. Here's to you. I forgot I was still on camera. My apologies. But, as I have already stated, once the glass is empty, the stream shall end. And I believe that, well, it is at pretty much the time it usually is for the stream to end. And while it may seem that an old celestial dragon and his ramblings are essentially meaningless, age-riddled, senile even, and most of all, just almost nostalgic, cries of desperation for the days gone by. I do hope that what I say can resonate with the future generations, and by that I mean for most of you out there. Especially if you see the furry fandom as your family. If you see any one of your friends that you've made here, the people you come across as someone that you would care for, someone that you hold dear to your heart. I hope that you continue to be that pillar of inspiration, to be good unto one another. It is all we can have in this community. It is all that this community can really be built off of, is each other. Whatever we do, including this show here, we do it because, simply put, we're all worth it to each other. And I hope whatever I can do here can also make your evenings that much better, can perhaps put a smile on your face after a rough week, can even inspire you to do the same for somebody else. But enough of an old dragon's ramblings. I am sure that many of you have better things to do, especially sleep if it's late for you over there. After all, as every grandfather would say, you need your sleep, young man or woman. Go get some. I am your humble host, Tien Long. This is the Grumpystream once again. And again, I humbly thank you for being here with me as we celebrate yet again another gathering of our community. And I wish nothing but the best for each and every one of you. If you will be at Motor City in 2 weeks' time, please do come and make yourself known to me. I would be happy to make your acquaintance, especially if you buy me booze at the bar, but nonetheless, just to be here for each other. And I shall wish you all the very best. May the winds be behind your back, and I shall see you all very